Very good evening, guys. Let me know you guys can hear me. Thank you, Deep. Thank you, Session. Very good evening, Deep. I hope everyone is doing great. Is the explanation for timer code over? Timer code, you mean the app where we have to use a set timer, a set interval part? Yeah, the countdown one? No, actually, we haven't discussed about that. So we have to like we was planning to discuss that in our last class, last revision class on Monday, but we haven't got time to do that on that class. So we will take it on in next class. So do you have any question, Likit, on that, or do you want to understand the code only? But I think I have already provided the code in the repo. Do you face any problem while understanding that code? Or you just simply want to explain me like one explanation from my side? Oh, document get ID. It's like on the HTML element. So you have created some elements, right? Like text or some button, right? So you want to access that particular element. So what you will do while writing HTML element, you will add ID field. Like if you are creating any paragraphs or you are creating any div, right? Or you are creating any button. So what you will do, you will add one ID field with that button. So in JavaScript, you can catch that particular element where you have provided ID with the method of document.getID. And getID, you will pass that, like consider you have created one button and that button name is submit button. So now what you did for that button, you have provided one ID field as an attribute. So Deep was saying as an attribute. So yes, ID is an attribute for that element. So for button, it will be element. For button, it will be attribute. And the ID attribute value you have given, simply you can give any value there. So but you have decided to give value as a button also. So for button is the element which is going to display on UI screen, and that button has an attribute, and that attribute is ID, and that attribute value is also button. Correct? Now all the things are visual on UI. Correct? So now what you want, so when somebody is clicking on that button, you want to take something from there. So what you did in JavaScript file, document get ID, and that then you provided the value get ID values name, like whatever value you have provided. You have provided the button as a value, so you will check for button value, and then whatever action happening on that button, you can catch it now. Document.get ID, whatever, there are different methods for that. So that's the purpose of get ID method. Is it clear to you, Likit? Why we do that? Great. So like, we will wait for 1 or 2 more minutes, then we will start. So I remember in last class, a reliable UI change. Yes, actually, that's right. I have also, like when I log in, I personally see the courses on the right top. But today I was trying to figure out where courses icon went. Then I find it out it went on the left side. So yeah, I also observed the same. Very good evening, Niranjan. Yeah, just going to start. So Likit was having one question on the countdown app. So he was trying to understand what is the need of like document.get ID. So that's what I was trying to explain him. Okay, so Joseph was asking the difference between get and post. So very common, like very easily you can understand the meaning of get and post. So get meaning very simple. whenever you want to get something from the server side, whenever client from on the client you want to get something, get some resources from the server side. So at that time we generally go with the get method. So we will create one API like get products, get user, we can say get user information, get a specific user. So whenever we are saying we want to get some information from the server side, when or resources we want to get from the server side, we generally go with the get method. We have to create an API which is going to have the get method. But in the post scenario, when we want to create something in server, when we want to create some resources in server, so like you want to create some user, you want to create a we can say you can create if we take the movie example, so you want to create one new movie in your database, right? Or if you take other examples, so like if you want to upload file into the databases, correct? Because now you want to create something from the client side, you want to create some resources, some new resources for your server. So and on those scenarios we go generally with the post method. That's the that's the very common difference you always need to remember, right? And one more thing we can say about the get method, like whenever we are doing any query, like we will say like we were if you are seeing the Amazon website, right? Amazon.com or Amazon.in, at that time on same page we are searching something like clothes. So for the same API we are now trying to search something. It means we are going to do some query, correct? So for that time also we generally go with the get method, because in the get method we can pass query and parameter, both things. And the post method, it has body part, correct? In the body part we can send all the data, like if we are sending the file binary data or the big JSON which we want to send from the UI side, that all we can do in the body part. But we cannot do the same thing on the get method. We can only pass the parameters and the query parameters, two things, both are different. I will show you today what are the parameters and what are the query parameters. So I will show you with the get method. Okay, so I think now we can start our session. So in last session, we have started with understanding that how we are connected, correct? In this world, how we have connected in through the digital applications. So like if we talk about, we can talk to the person who is staying and residing in US or any other countries, or we want to send some data from here to there, or we want to transfer money from here to there, or we want to stream some movies, right? So how we are able to do that with our only mobile or with our only one computer, correct? So we have understood that at the internal, we are using API for doing everything, correct? That's right. In REST API, we use CRUD operation. Yes. CRUD meaning is simply create, retrieve, update, delete. So if you want to create some resources, you will use the post method. If you want to retrieve some resources, you will use the get method. If you want to update some resources, you will use the put method. If you want to delete some method, you will use the delete method. And all these methods are provided by HTTP. Okay, guys. Okay. So what I was saying earlier. So for every communication or between interaction between digital application, we generally go with the APIs. Then we understood client, then we understood servers. That client is the one who make the request. Simple definition. Server is the one who accept the request of client, then does whatever client has asked, then respond back to the client. That's the role of server. Then we understood the resources also. So resources could be like we can say the resources could be general things, like the user could be resources, movies could be resources, right? Every industry has their own some common resources or some specific resources. If we talk about the Netflix server, so Netflix server will has his own resources, correct? Like the common could be user, because Netflix will also have user. Amazon.com website, Amazon.com will also have the common resources, user, correct? And so resources could be one type of objects which provide information about the resource, about the specific things, about the the like specific use case. Like if you talk about the users, so users could be resources, and users like if we talk about user is a parent, we can say, but inside user there could be multiple informations, right? Because user could have username, email id, their address, name, age. These all things we are saying as information, and user could be parent on that. So we can say these are resources, and resources provides us some information. So user resource will provide information about user. Movie resources will provide information about movies. Ticket resources will provide information about ticket. Train resources will provide information about ticket. So that's how you have to understand the resources. Okay. After that, we understood that there is client, there is server. We say that this is the client server architecture, which is best, and which is best for web applications. And right now, whatever we are doing, like whatever application, like each industry right now, each industry, if you talk about any industry, transportation, entertainment industry, gas, like any industry, you name it, you will find out every industry has started using web applications or mobile applications. So right now, all the industries have started using the client server architecture. Are we good with that? So that's what we understood. That's the role of client server architecture. And so if we are following the client server architecture, so we say that we are right now working. We are right now creating web applications which are which are now right now in the trends with. They are right now like what we say they are right now with the current trends. Right now, what is happening? So if we follow the client server architecture, so we can say the application which we are trying to create, they are with the current trends. So that's why we are saying we have to follow the client server architecture. Then we understood for following the client server architecture or following for creating the APIs, we need to follow some protocols. Correct. Okay. Nishant was saying, can you explain resources again? So see, the example of resources, let's take the user resources. Correct. If we are saying user resources, it means we are going to get some information about user. So now user could be the parent here, like the big like the umbrella. Umbrella is a user, and this could be user resource. And the inside user, there could be multiple information about user, like the age, name, address, any date of birth, parent's name, these things, right? These things could be come under the user resources. These things we will say as information. These under the user resources. So that's how you can define resources. That the resources are the parent or the big umbrella who is keeping information about the specific object, and that object could be user. That object could be anything. If you talk about any industry, everyone will have different resources. Okay. Yes, resources mean data. That's right. Resources mean data, but we are just simply defining it different ways, right? Because we want to generalize thing here. In the normal word, in like if I'm talking to you or two developers are talking, they can simply say it's a data, right? But at a big level, at a like more technical level, we will say that resources are the parent of every information. So like there, if you're talking about user resources, so user resources can have multiple information. So that's what the resources are. Okay. Yeah. So then I was telling you that when we understood that API is the main part for interaction between two applications, where we are saying client and server. So now I also told that there are some protocols which we need to follow, correct? And those protocols are HTTP and HTTPS, right? And I told you the HTTP has provided you some of the constraint or rules which you need to follow. Like they provided you the methods, get, post, put, delete. These are the methods I told you. And then they also provided you some of the status code, like 200, 400, 500. They have also provided you some headers, right? The additional information which client wants to share with server. Or the same goes with server. If server wants to share some additional information about the API request, so server will also send the headers to them. Then that's what we have understood till now. Then we understood the HTTPS also, that the right now most of the websites are using HTTPS protocol rather than HTTP. And I told you how we will get the HTTPS certificate. We have to go to the certificate authority and get the keys, install those keys into our server. Then browser does the rest of the part. Okay, that's how the HTTPS works. Today we will start talking about the REST, and after REST, then we will start the coding part, right? Today I am planning to do most of the time. I'm planning to spend on a practice time. We will discuss only the rest in theoretical part, and then we will start fully doing the practical part. Today I will show you how we will create our server, which is going to respond, correct, when we will make request from browser, how that server will respond to you, correct. Then I will show you what are how can we create multiple APIs, correct. Those things we will see today. Okay, let me see if we have any question till now. So resources will include anything we send from server to client, like files, data, so on. Yes, yes. Resources. See, resources are only that, right? Which we are going to share as a data to the customers, because client are the one who are going to request for resources, and server is the one who is going to serve the resources. So we can say resources could be anything which server is sharing to sharing to client. Okay. I just divided more, like I just divided resources more, that resources provide information, correct? Because if you see, if you're talking about that right now my server is providing the user resource, it means I am getting some information about user. So that's why I told you resources has the information, and we can say user resource is providing multiple information about user. Same way, if I'm saying movie resources, so they will provide information about movie, like the date of movie, movie name, who is the actor on that movie, what is the date of launch, what is the time duration for that movie. So that's these all things which I told you later. These are information about that resource. That's what I was saying. Okay. Okay, guys. Yeah. So let's move into the rest part today. This is also, see, whenever people will talk to you, this is first thing. It is theoretical again, and the full form, as you can already see, the representational state transfer. Okay, let's see. Joseph has one more question. So let's clear his question, then we will understand that. Otherwise, people will stuck in their question and they cannot understand the next thing. So, guys, first clear all of your doubts, then try to understand the next concept which we are going to discuss. So, Joseph is saying that info is header. No. That information is data, which are response, which server is, which client has requested to us. Client has requested, give me the user, all the users which have in the database. So now client, what resources client is requesting? This client is requesting, give me all the user resources. So now as a server, I need to provide all the user data which I saved in our database. That's the resources. Headers, some additional information about the resources, I want to share with client. That part is header. It's not like the thing which client has requested. Client is requesting the information. I showed you yesterday that the headers part, some additional information, right? When I showed you the client header, the request header, you can see the from the browser we were making the request. What was the content type? What was the content length, right? And what was the host from where we are sending the request? These are some additional information, right? Yeah, these headers are objects only. So objects has key and value. So we are just, so you do not need to understand what, you just need to understand why we need to share the headers. These are some, you, and the meaning for that, these are some additional information which server want to share, or which client want to share with the server. Okay, and these information could be content type. What is the content type? Is it the JSON? Is it the file? Or is it the text? Correct. What is the content length which server is sending to client? Correct. Or there could be authorization token which we are passing from client to server. These are some additional things, right? Which we have, which we want to share between client and server. So those things which we send, which we share with the headers. The main resources thing which client has requested, that will come in the body from the server. It will come as a separate part. It will not come in the header. Okay, guys. For which method headers are mandatory? For which every method, see, every method will have headers. Every method will have headers, because in every method you want to share something between the client and server. You want to, that's why they have make it for every method. Get, post, patch, option, anywhere you can share the information. These are the common information which you will share every time, like the browser information. Let me show you very guys quickly. I think you guys have a lot of questions on the header, so let me show you quickly. Yeah, let me open the Amazon website, and Let's see in the network tab. Okay. You can see the suggestion one, right? This is the suggestion. This is the head method. It is also sending the headers. You can see request header. This is some additional information which client is sending to server, like the connection. It is the keep alive, keep the connection alive. This is the language, ENGV, ENUS. These are the language which client browser can accept. Correct. These are some cookies informations like the session ID, right? Host name, origin name. These are some. So that's what I was trying to say. Some additional informations. It is not the real request which has made. The real responses which is coming from the server will come here. The real response which client has requested. Correct. So, but these are some additional information which requests which client is sending to server and server is also sending back to us. You can see the response header where I am sending you what are the content type I am going to share, what was the date when the response has come, what was the connection is now closed, what are the origin my server will allow, correct, to make request. These are some additional informations which client and server wants to share with each other to keep the connection alive. So the next time if somebody is making request, so they can just follow the same request, correct. So that's why we simply keep the headers. We can simply add some custom values also in these headers. We can add some our custom values as well. These are some values which automatically has been created from the browser or from the server side, but you can create your own custom values as well. You can set some headers. I will show you today how we will set our headers. Are we clear with the headers now? Status code comes under header. No. It comes as a key. The response dot status. It's a separate part. It doesn't come in the header. Header means endpoint. No, guys. Endpoint are the API URL. Headers are not endpoints. See, I think I'm not sure. Let me try to explain again. But like it's very simple thing. In the headers, we are just passing some additional information, guys. Like from client side, we want to pass some additional information. Additional information like the browser name, correct, or might be the session ID or some authorization key, right? These are some additional information which client want to share with the server, right? And the same thing server wants to share with the client also. It will also send these information in headers, correct. So server wants to tell what type of response which server is sending to a client, correct. So we will see this thing part. We will see these things in the later stage. Okay, guys. Status is a response output part. Header is the input. I'm not sure why we are taking it as a input and output, guys. Headers are going from both sides, from the client side also. See, okay, let me take another example. I think it's like whatever I'm trying to explain, you guys are little getting confused. So let me take some real-time example where we can understand about the headers. Okay. So okay, let's talk about the restaurant example again. Okay, guys. Now we are sitting in a restaurant, correct? And now we call the waiter, that is our API, and we told them we want to eat butter chicken, correct? That's the resource which I requested from the client side. Are we good with the resource which we requested? Now you what you guys generally do? You tell them that it should be spicy. It should be spicy, or it should be hot, correct? Or sometimes if you are when you are ordering coffee, you are saying that it should not you should not put some sugar there, correct? These are the headers. Yeah, these are the headers which you are passing from client as a additional information from the client you are passing to the kitchen chef. So that's what I was trying to explain to you guys. These are the headers. This is not the your original resources to give me the chicken butter or butter masala. That's what your original resource, correct. And the header parts are the additional information which you are trying to pass it from here, and that's what the server also does. Server also provides some of the additional information to you with the original data which you have requested. Are we good now with the headers part with this example? Great. And the status is not the part of header, not the part of body, like the not the part of like the main thing. Status is the third thing, which server only sends to client. Client does not share the status to server, which server only tell to you that that the if server is sending 200 to you, it means everything was good. Your chicken has been prepared. Now you can eat it. If server is sending 400, it means it will say that like chicken masala is not available today. It means you have made some you have to make some other request. That's the 400. And the 500 is if he somehow like in kitchen something bad happens, or might be chicken is not available, correct? So now the like chicken is not available, so now he will say that sorry, we do not have chicken, you need to prepare, you need to order something else. That's what the 500 status. So that's a different thing, which is not, which doesn't come in the body main output, or not in the header. It's a different thing which only server sends, not the client. Client only receive the status. Okay. Okay. So are we good with that? 404. We will talk. We will talk about the. We will talk about that status. So that's I think authentication status. So guys, let's start the other topic. Request method also. No, request methods are not header. These are that's a different thing. Headers, like why you guys are like combining everything with the header. See, from the request side, what we send, I told you that day, right? Headers is like a method, right? The main URL, the API URL, correct? That's the three things we share it from the client side. Okay, you guys need to write it down. Remember this thing. Like from the method side, from the client side, we send the method. That's the separate thing. We share our main URL, correct? Then we share the headers. These three things we are sharing, correct? And in the case of post, we also send a body from the client side, correct? That's the fourth thing in the post. In the post put and delete, we also share the body method from the client side. These four things we share it from the client side. Okay. Now from the from the server side, we first receive the status code, we receive the headers, correct, and we receive the main body, main output. These three things we receive from the server side. Okay, guys, are we good? Any other questions you had, guys? Because I think first you all need to clear all of your questions, then only we can understand the new topic. Okay, guys. Okay, so Ankit is saying headers carry info for request response for body. Headers carry info for request response for body. I didn't understand that correct question. I already told you what headers carry. Why you are relating it with request response for body? I didn't understand this. Main content of request header. If you have shown, I have already shared my screen. So I've shown you the request header content. So right now, as with the example I've told you, these are some. Okay, so try to join it on time. Otherwise, we will be lagging in our content, right? Okay, so what I showed you earlier that. Let me share it again so you guys can see it. Yes, these are HTTP headers only. We are talking about HTTP headers only. Okay. Let me share my screen, Ekta, for you, and let's see quickly the header part. Can you see my screen? So you guys can see my screen, right? So this is the content, right? Which we want to send as an extra. Like I told you with the example, right? When we are ordering one chicken, at that time you are telling them extra information. These are some of the extra information which we shared with the client, with the server, like the host name, origin, referrer, or the browser. Because when you are working on any of the applications, sometimes you need to know from which browser your request is coming, or from which origin this request is coming. So these all things browser automatically detect it and send it to server, and that's how and sometimes the same thing happens with the response headers as well. Sometimes your client needs to know from which server this response is coming, or what is the length of data which server is providing to us. These are some of the see. That's why I was not trying to go deep into that, because that will not make sense to you guys, right? Because this is all time, this is like all time depend on the use case. But you guys only need to remember that headers are only for sending the additional information from the client side to server and server side to client. That's all you need to remember. Apart from that, you do not need to relate the headers with any other thing which we have talked, or you do not like to mess up with it, like what are the things which we are going to share with that. I will show you these things, like whatever the things which you like when I will create one API, so I will show you that some of the information which we can share, right? And I've also given you the example, so that example could make more sense, right? That when we want to pass some other informations from there, correct? API headers and HTTP headers are different. No, Ankit. API and HTTP are not different. API and HTTP, API is the main thing, and HTTP provides the protocols to API, protocols for creating the APIs. Okay. Yeah, and these additional can be skipped if you don't want, right? Yes, if you don't want, you can skip it. These are, see, some of the browsers automatically creates headers. You need to pass those headers. If you do not want to add the customization error, customize error, or your own error, you do not need it. These are the headers you are not adding. These are the headers this browser is adding automatically. Okay, or server will add automatically for you. Okay, these are the headers you are not adding. You can add your own headers if you want. Like if you want to provide some additional information, you can add your own headers. Otherwise, server and the client automatically does these. That's why HTTP has given these headers. When the HTTP protocols has come, so the browsers have already realized some of the things which server has to know from the client side. So they have gone with the headers part. And the same goes for server. All the servers which you will create, they will provide you some of the common headers, because sometime might be client needs some of the additional information for server. Correct? Yes, these all informations are in the key value pairs, because these headers are the object. So object already have the key value. So guys, are we good with now headers part, or guys are still confused about headers? I think you guys were very confused about the headers. Are we good with that now? Okay, great. Okay, great. So let's move into the REST part. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay, so let's move into the REST part. Very excited to talk about REST, and then move into the programming part. Okay. Okay, so yeah, okay, coming back to the API part, because everything I told you in the initial, that whatever we are doing, everything we are doing for the APIs, because if client and server wants to interact, they need to take help from API only, because it's only the waiter who can take your order and tell to the kitchen and chef, and then the same waiter will only come and take the order from kitchen, take the dish from the kitchen and then provide it to you. The same API we are going to discuss it again. So REST is the full form is representational state transfer, and this is also an REST also provides you an architectural style or design pattern for creating APIs. Correct. Again, we are talking about the APIs, and in 2000, there was one person, I'm forgetting the name, Rayan or somebody was there in 2000. He has used first time in his PhD thesis, 2000, like year 2000, in his PhD thesis, he has used the term as a REST principle, which he has shared with the world later as a REST, and he tells that these principle, if you will use, then our web applications or the API creation will be more advanced, right? And and if you want to create a web application which is going to be like keep it like going to be in the line going to be in the line with the current trends, then we need to follow these rest principles. Correct. And by the way, these principles are very old, but still we are using these principles. Correct. So so that's what, if somebody is talking to you about the REST, so you have to tell that it is the architectural style or design pattern for creating an API. Okay. Then The second definition, you can tell them with the name representational state transfer. Okay, so what does meaning with the what is the meaning of it? So the meaning of representational state transfer is, so when any client is requesting any resource, when any client is requesting any resource, so server will transform that transform the representational state of resource. Let me repeat it again. Let me repeat it again, guys. Hear me clearly. That when any client is requesting any resource, we are requesting resource, then server will transfer the representational state of the resource. So right now, take the example, correct? If we are in the, like, if you take the example of Instagram. So when you make a request from, like when you search any user, so that's the one request from the, uh, like in the Instagram, you are searching for one name, like Rahul. That's the Rahul name you have searched, right? So now, now from the mobile app or from the website, you are requesting for some resource, and that resource is Rahul. So now, what server will do? Server will transfer you or provide you the current state of that user. What is the meaning of current state? Right now, like whatever time you have requested that resource, whatever Rahul has in his database, like whatever state Rahul it is right now. What does it meaning? Rahul, whatever pics right now he has uploaded, whatever bio he has right now, whatever address he has provided to the Instagram server, those all information will be provided to you. That's what they are trying to say it in the technical terms. Right now, the current state of Rahul, whatever the current state, right now it is in the server. Server will only transform you that. That's why we are saying representational state transfer. Just see, we are still, there is nothing new. We are still talking about API, but with different way, but with different way. We are still talking about APIs, we are still talking about the client server, we are still talking about the resources, we are still talking about the data transfer, but just in another, what do you say, just in another way. Like guys, do not like confuse yourself here that कि हम कुछ नया यहाँ पे सीख रहे हैं. हम जो ऑलरेडी सीख चुके हैं, we are just going to repeat it in the some other ways. So that's what REST also, see, HTTP also provided protocols, correct? And those protocols we are following. REST also provided the same things. So you can see the first thing REST has said, that is the client server architecture. And we already know about the client server architecture, right? So REST has provided us some constraint which we need to follow while creating our APIs or while creating or developing our website applications. Okay, so we will talk about that those constraints, and I have one Medium blog for that. So we'll go there and we will read about those things, and I will share the link with you also. Okay. So little doubt. So this REST is a part of API or protocol? Okay. So this is a REST. This is a part of API. With the help of REST provides you the principle to create the APIs. Okay. Please again the definition part. So see, REST. Whenever somebody is talking about the REST, you can say it's an architectural style or design pattern for creating API. तो ये एक आर्किटेक्चरल स्टाइल है और एक डिजाइन पैटर्न है एपीआई को क्रिएट करने का. ठीक है, पहला आप डेफिनेशन ये बोलोगे. एंड सेकंड डेफिनेशन यू विल से द फुल फॉर्म ऑफ रेस्ट इज रिप्रेजेंटेशनल स्टेट ट्रांसफर. व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ इट? Whenever client is making any request for resources, server will transform the current representational state of resource. Server will transform the current representation of current representational state of resource. और जो कि मैंने तुम्हें एक एग्जांपल के साथ बताया कि हम इंस्टाग्राम पे जब भी हम राहुल का रिक्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, तो जो भी राहुल का भी करंट डेटा डेटाबेस में सेव है, बस हम उसको ट्रांसफर कर देते हैं. उसी को हम यहाँ पे करंट स्टेट बोल रहे हैं राहुल की, क्योंकि अभी तक राहुल ने कुछ भी अपडेट नहीं किया. उसके जितने फॉलोअर्स थे, उसके जितने लाइक्स थे, उसने जितनी पिक्स अपलोड करी, वो करंट डेटा दैट विल कम इनटू योर वेबसाइट, कम इनटू इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू. ओके. So sir, in the Insta example, we request for particular user and the server provides us a representative state of response. So the response here is the search user Insta account. Response is search. Yes, correct. That's what the response you want. That's what you requested. That's what your response is. Very simple. You have made the request for Rahul. You got the response as a Rahul. जो भी राहुल की करंट स्टेट थी, you got the data. वही उसी चीज को हम रिप्रेजेंटेशनल स्टेट ट्रांसफर में बोलना चाह रहे हैं. Okay, guys? Is it some like previous client? Yes, it's same like previous client server architecture. That's what they have included the first term as a client server architecture. That's the same. That's what, guys, I told you. Whatever we have read till now is the same thing which we are going to discuss again. Okay. Sir, explain with the draw. So, guys, I told you right yesterday the same thing. Let me show you again. The client server architecture. Let me show you guys. Yeah, this is our client server architecture, right? So you can see these are our clients, right? On the left side, and on the right side we have our server. Now client is making any request to server. Now server will respond back. That's the client server architecture. That's what the REST is also. So from the client, you are making any request for resources. So now server has to send that resources current state. That's what the REST is. क्लाइंट सर्वर आर्किटेक्चर इज व्हाट. क्लाइंट कुछ रिक्वेस्ट करेगा, सर्वर को रिस्पॉन्ड करना है. रेस्ट ने क्या बोला? रेस्ट ने सेम चीज को कैसे बोला? रेस्ट ने बोला कि क्लाइंट ने किसी रिसोर्स की रिक्वेस्ट करी, करेक्ट, और फिर सर्वर ने उस रिसोर्स की करंट स्टेट भेज दी. सेम थिंग, करेक्ट. हम सिंपल अभी भी हम एपीआई के थ्रू सब कुछ कर रहे हैं, बस हम डिफरेंट वे से एक ही चीज को बोल रहे हैं. दैट्स व्हाट द रेस्ट इज ऑल अबाउट. ओके, सो लेट्स मूव फर्दर, कम बैक टू द रेस्ट स्लाइड. Yeah, we were here. Let me see, is there any other question? So, here's the current state of Insta account. Yeah, current state of Rahul's Insta. That's the response you will get. Sir, STDP में क्या current state और past state fetch कर सकते हैं? Current state और past state versus fetch कर सकते हैं? नहीं, हम नहीं कर सकते हैं. ये सारी की सारी स्टेट हमारी डेटाबेस में सेव होती है. अगर आपने किसी का प्रीवियस डेटा आपने किसी टेबल में आप किसी जगह आपने सेव उसको कर रखा है, तो आप एक एपीआई बनाओगे जिसमें आप बोलोगे कि पास्ट स्टेट भेजो. अदरवाइज हमेशा 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 सर्वर करंट स्टेट ही भेजेगा, क्योंकि सर्वर को पिछली स्टेट के बारे में नहीं पता होता है. आपको उसके लिए एपीआई बनानी पड़ेगी, और ये चीजें हमेशा आपके यूज केस पे डिपेंड करती है. It all depends on your use case. If you want to save some of the previous status as well, then you will create the API in that way. In that way, you will create your database. Otherwise, if you want to only access otherwise you always want the current state, right? If Rahul is updating something in his profile, why you want the previous data? Like on that, like tomorrow, if Rahul has updated something, you want the updated things, right? You do not want the previous state. So that's what we always need, the updated data. But yes, in some scenarios we need the previous state, and on those scenarios we have to design our things in that way. Okay, Jasleen? Joseph, what is the difference with previous? No difference, guys. Joseph, no difference here. I told you, right? I'm going to say the same things in different terms only. The same thing we are talking. That's what I told you earlier also. Here response is behavior. Response is behavior. That is very new word. How we are treating response as a behavior, Joseph? I didn't understand here. So you mean like the current state right now, whatever the current state is, that's you are talking about the behavior? If not, then I think you need to repeat your question. And those data, Dipanshu is saying, okay, so Joseph is saying yes. Yeah, so we can say that, like if you're saying that Rahul's behavior is updating his bio or liking something, yes, so we can say that yes, it's a response. Like I will not take it as this way. I will say simply whatever the data Rahul has, whatever Rahul is doing, we want to see all those things, right? So all those things, all those state will be saved in our database or somewhere. Then we need to fetch those things. If it could be behavior, it could be any other things as well. Like whatever way you want to speak about that. But simple word, talk it as a data, right? Whatever Rahul is doing, it's a data. Whatever I am saying right now, it's a data. So simply say it is a data. Response is data. Correct? Okay, so here Deepanshu is saying, so those data can be set in an auto load type, right, sir? Okay, guys, auto load type. I didn't understand that, how that comes here. Those data can be set in an auto load type. Uh, Not sure. I told you very simple things, right, guys? I am not sure how you guys are getting these ideas. So I told you, like, client is making request and server is responding the data to you. How the auto load come here? That's I need to understand, Dipanshu. We'll fetch in real time. Yes, we are fetching in real time, right? Whatever, like, whatever right now I'm talking to you, that's also going to you, right? That's what you are hearing in real time only. So that's right. That's happening in real time. Same happen in the client server architecture also. Everything happens on the real time. Okay, so let's read the another question. Vishal, if API was not following REST principle, how would server react to that request of searching its user? I am not sure about that. Like, how will it react? Because we have to whatever if we are talking about the request and response, because see, we have generalized client and server. Server has to always respond. If you are not following the REST principle, server has to still respond, so it will still respond to you. Now, if you are not following the REST principle, then I think you can say that you like still I think I can say that some of the things which REST says to you, like the second one is the cacheability or like the layered system, right? There are more things in the REST also, right? Stateless or stateless means like REST says to you that server should not be aware of client, but if you are not following the REST, server can be aware of client, correct? Or a server says that like the another property is layered system, correct? So layered system means when client is making any request to server, there could be multiple layers. Like the first layer could be like the authentication server, or the second layer could be auto, like for the any further proxies could be in the middle. So REST principle says to you that the client should not be knowing about the multiple layers. Only the request going from the first person to second person to third. The first person should not be aware of third. But if you're not following the REST principle, then first person could be aware of the third person also. So these things we can say that if, but in the request response, I think if you're simply talking about the first one, client server architecture, where we are only talking about the client server with the REST concept and the REST context. So I will say that if you're not following REST principle, I think we will still go in the same way. We need to, if you, somebody is requesting, we need to respond that. So if you're not following the REST, you also need to do the same thing. Correct? Difference between HTTPs and REST. Okay, so so HTTPS, these are the protocols which provided by the which provided for creating any APIs, correct? And the REST has provided you some principle for while you see both are same things, HTTP and REST, but HTTP has provided some protocols which are like get, post. These are the method you need to follow. These are the status you need to follow. REST has provided some more theoretical concepts to you. Let me talk about those concepts and then we will talk more about it. Okay, guys? Let me share my screen. There are 6 constraints which REST has provided for web applications. Okay, guys, let's see those constraints. I have one like blog where they are explaining, and I will share that link with you also. Okay. So now the first constraint which REST has said, which is uniform interface. So what is the meaning of uniform interface? HTTP doesn't tell about that. Okay, first thing, uniform interface. What is the meaning of that? It tells to you that whatever the client interface is, even it is a mobile, or if it is a browser, or it is any other things, so like from anywhere you can make the request to server. That's the first principle. REST has said that. If you will read the conclusion of that, so you will read the same thing. The result of uniform interface that the request from different clients looks the same, whether the client is Chrome browser, a Linux server, or a script, or any Android app or mobile app. That's the meaning. So that's what the uniform interface REST has simply said to the word that if you are creating any server or any API, so whatever clients you are using, they all should be able to call your server. That's the first principle which REST has given to us. Okay. Now the second principle which they have given, they told that client server separation, because client, they are saying that client and server should be on the separate side, right? Client, because client purpose is to make request and server purpose is different, then that's why we always try to create client and server separate. So that's what the second principle which they told, that's the reason for, because the both play the independently, because client role is different and server role is different, so that's why we need to keep them separate. The general thing they are telling, that's what we already know, that's what that's what we already know, and that's why they have created them as a principles. Okay. Yeah, the third thing which REST says that the stateless means the server should not remember about anything about the client. Like see, like a user has made a request for one product, one get API they have called one product. So user should not, like the server should not be remembering if user is again making the same request. So server should not be remembering these things. Server should not have any state of the when the client is any making request. If client is making same request and again, server should simply serve those requests. But it should not keep some information about the data, some data about the request. So that's what the REST principle says that. So you can read here also. The stateless means the server does not remember anything about the user who uses the APIs. So they do not remember anything, whoever is going to make any request. You can see it does not remember if the user of API already sent a GET request for the same resources in the past. Like somebody has already made a request for the same resource, and if we are making again, so server should not remember these things. Okay, that's what these principles says that. Okay, the fourth thing is, I told you, the layer system. Layer system is saying like there could be multiple layers in the between. Like the first is the client, second could be authentication, third could be the security layer could be there. Like they are saying like caching layer could be there, security layer could be there, or proxies could be there in the middle. Between client and server, I'm talking about. Between client and server, these layers could be there. Correct. Let me see if you guys still able to see my screen or not. Let me see first. Can you guys see my screen or hear me? Oh, great. Great. Let me complete that part and let me then come back to question part. So that's what. So layered system says that between the client or server, if we are having multiple multiple layers, then every layer should be only knowing about the next layer. They should not be knowing about the like after two layers. Like if somebody, like if we consider client as the first layer, and then we can consider security layer as the second layer, and then we can compare. Then we can say the cache layer is there. Then we can then say the server is there. So first should be aware of second layer. It should not be aware of the third layer. Then the first second should be aware of third layer. Second should not be aware of fourth layer. So that's what they are trying to say here. Between the client who requests a representation of resources state. See, they are very using the technical terms. Representation of resources state. It simply means data. When client who requests a data and the server who send the response back, there might be number of servers in the middle. There might be multiple layers in the middle. These servers might provide a security layer. So what they're saying, those layers should not affect the request or response. The client is agnostic as how many layers, if any, there are between the client and. So that's what they're saying. Client or server should only be knowing about the next layer which they have. Correct? They should not be knowing about the whatever is happening in the middle. That's what they are saying. The layered system would be. And all the layers should not change any data also. Whatever the data is coming from the server, it should not affect any request or response. So simple meaning is whatever the layers are in the middle, they should not be they should not make any, they should not be knowing about the next to next layer. They should be only knowing about the next layer, what they need to do. Okay. The next thing which they are saying, the cacheable. So if there is any data which you want to cache on the client side, then server has to tell that thing to the client. These are the good principle. If server is not telling, still you can say now your web application is not following the REST principle. So that's what somebody was asking, right? If somebody is not following the REST principle, then what they can do? So they can simply, still they can create their application, but that application, we can say that we will see these properties, we will see these features are there in your web applications or not. If these features are not there, we'll say you're not following the REST principle. We will simply say that, but your application will still run. That's what these principles are. It's not like these principles are very necessary for you, but these principles, if you will have, this will make your applications keep in line with the current trends, because these principles are they have created to make your application scalable or security free, because they have done some research, and then after that they come with these theories that these principles every web application should follow. So yeah, I was talking about the cacheable part. So yeah, so if some resources which client wants to cache, then server has to tell the client that these are the resources you can cache it. And once server will tell that thing, server client will cache it in their memories, and then next time making request to server, it can the cacheable resources can automatically client take it from their own memories. So that's what the caching is there, right? And next one is the code on demand, which is optional. They said it because it was earlier when we do not have client and separate. Like earlier, what we do, like before coming the Angular and React.js, we serve HTML files from the server side only, correct? So that's what they are saying. Like from the server, we can simply send directly the code, like the HTML code we can share from there, and which could directly run on the clients. We earlier do that these things. Whenever, like in each API request, we simply share that whole HTML file. Still we do that some places, but right now we have moved towards the client side architecture, where we simply do a lot of things on the client side. Client side means on the browsers rather than doing on the server side. So, but that's why this constraint is optional now. But the meaning of this construct is the API could return the code on demand, which could run on the browsers or any client application. So these are the 6 principles which REST has provided. I will provide you this link also, and there is one video also if you want to understand a little bit more about the uniform interface. But guys, these are the things which you just need to know these things. It's not like it's going to be like once you are ready with your application, then you can check that these principles you are following or not. It's like that. Okay, guys. So that's all about the principle. Let me know if you guys have any questions on that. Otherwise, in any of the principle which we have said today. Okay. Yeah, code on demand, cacheable repeat. Okay. So see, the cacheable part is when there is some resources which we want to cache. Cache means some data which we see that somebody is asking frequently, right? When somebody is asking the same data frequently, rather than making each call to the server, we can keep that data on browser memories. So that's why the server is saying if client has some request for that type of resources, the server will send some flag to them. In headers, they can send the flag, right? In the response header, they can send the flag. Yes, this data could be cacheable, correct? Now client can cache this data. And now next time if somebody is requesting that data, client will not make call to server. It can directly take it from their own memory. So that's what the cacheable principle is. Code on demand. So code on demand, I told you that earlier what happened, sometime from the APIs, we need to send some code, and that code could be though your machine can understand, and our machine can simply understand the HTML, right? So or JavaScript it could also understand. So these type of things which we send on APIs directly, we send it on APIs. Rather, right now, see what we do right now in API, we send data in a format of JSON. But code on demand, rather than sending data, we can send whole code, whole JavaScript, whole HTML things. That's what the code on demand. Okay, so for real-time data update, JavaScript is used. For real-time data update, JavaScript is used. For real-time data update, we use the APIs. We call the APIs from the browser, and we use the put method for update. Always remember, whenever we're talking about update, we use the put method and we use APIs. And from the browser, we make that thing. We call the API for updating, and then we will update that data in our database. Okay. Like Flipkart uses information in local storage. Correct. Yes, Flipkart, like not Flipkart. So many websites use this. When cacheability happens, does API check in cache along with server side? When cacheability happens, does API check in cache? No, it will not check for the server side. It will first check in their cache memory or in the browser memory. If we are able to find that particular API already has been called and has data, then we will not go for the server. It will only happen on the local server. So it's store data in cacheable. No, cacheable is a principle. Cacheable is a way to say that these are things that are happening. The data is cacheable. It means the data the resources which we are sharing, these are cacheable. You can cache it on your browser memory. That's what the cacheable meaning is. Okay, so Dipanshu is asking, when cacheability happens, does API check in cache along with? No. That's what I told you. Right? Already, it only checks on the memories. And if already API is there, then simply it will not go for the. It will not make the request to server. I will get my recent search along with recommendation search on server end. No, it will not go to search end. It will not go to server. If you are making the same API call with the same data, then it will not go server, right? It already cached in their browser memory. I mean, that could be example of cacheability. Correct. Ekta, Flipkart, yes. Okay. Okay, so we are good with the see. REST is nothing new. We have already talked, but we are just talking about the same thing in different way. That's all. Okay. So now I think we are good with these things. Let's start. Okay, hypermedia part not clear. I think so hypermedia comes under the uniform interface, and I told you in the conclusion that the uniform interface is uh, whatever client is there, even it is a browser or if it is a mobile application or any like Python script who is making requests or anything who is making requests, server should serve those requests from where like whatever places the request is coming, server has to serve that particular request. So that's the meaning of uniform interface. So hypermedia also comes under that, but that's very like older concept. If you really want to understand, so hypermedia part says that when server is sending any response. So let's try to understand that. Jasleen has bring the hypermedia part. I've already provided you the link. There is one video. You guys can already watch this. But let me in short word and tell about the hypermedia part also. That was not very important, I would say. But yeah, let me explain that. So the meaning of hypermedia as a state, what was the term? Let me check the whole term there. Yeah, hypermedia as the application state. That was the whole term there. Hypermedia as the application state. So what REST is saying here that whenever API is sending any response, it should not only send the current application state. It should send other things with application state as well. Like, let me give you the example. When you requested for any user is give me give me the Rahul information from the database from the server. You requested the Rahul information, correct? Now server has provided you Rahul information, and that in that information you have 5 things or 3 things we can say. Rahul name as a Rahul, address and age. So now you also should have here the update link. You should also have some option for delete thing. So that's what the REST is saying. Whenever we are sending somebody's data to the client, we should also send some other informations of that. So some other information about that resources, so that somebody can modify that data, somebody can delete that data, somebody can do other actions as well. So that's why they are telling hypermedia as the engine of application state. Hypermedia, what is the hypermedia? Hypermedia some text with link. हमें वो लिंक क्यों चाहिए एप्लीकेशन स्टेट के साथ? वो ये बोल रहे हैं कि ये लिंक आप एप्लीकेशन स्टेट के साथ भेजिए, आप ये लिंक एप्लीकेशन स्टेट के साथ भेजिए, और यही जो है वो मेन इंजन है, करेक्ट? वो ये इसलिए कह रहे हैं कि हम जब भी कोई डेटा भेज रहे हैं हम उसके साथ अदर एक्शंस भी भेज सके. बट गाइस अब ये नहीं होता है. अब आप देखोगे किसी भी वेबसाइट पे जाओगे, यू ऑलवेज हैव मल्टीपल थिंग्स. So that's why I didn't go into that, because that was the concept which they have said for very old ways when they have come with the REST principles. But right now it's already happening everywhere. So the simple principle is, जब भी कोई data server की तरफ से आ रहा है, it should also have the information about modifying it, or like some other things it should also have. It should not only have the application state. That's what that line was saying. Hypermedia as the engine of application state. जब भी हम किसी डेटा की स्टेट भेज रहे हैं उसके साथ अदर चीजें भी होनी चाहिए. That's what you will read about that article and watch the video. That's what they will explain there. Okay, guys. Difference between stateless and cacheability. Okay, so see, stateless was if any user has make a request for resource one, first time it makes the request to server, correct? Now if next time server make request, client make the request for same resources, so server should not be remembering these things, that the client, that the user is making the request for same resources again and again. That's what the stateless is about. So server should not be remembering these things what user is trying to do. That's what the stateless is. And cacheability is some data which we want to, which is very frequently used. Like there is like in Amazon website we can say like summer clothes. Right now it's monsoon. Somebody will definitely search summer clothes again and again. So what they will do, rather than calling their API, and why do not they want to call their APIs? Because their server is too far, correct? So they do not want to call that API. Rather than they will keep that information in your browser as a cached. And once you will keep that information, then browser will not directly make requests to servers. It will take it from your browser and it will be faster for you. So that's the concept of cacheability. Okay, guys. Jaslin was saying password remembering. Yes, that we also save it in our somewhere we save it on browser provides. This is a browser feature actually for password remembering. It will remember your it will keep your password when next time you will do the login. Okay. Okay, guys. So let's now jump into the coding part. Okay, guys. So now we have understood all the theoretical things. We have understood APIs, like why we need. We haven't written any APIs. We have understood why we need APIs. Correct. We have understood the methods. Correct. We have understood the role of server and client. Now we will only talk about client server API. Only three things. Only three things we are now going to talk in today lecture or whatever we are going to do next. Everywhere we are going to talk about these three things only. Client server APIs. And then while creating APIs, we will talk about the methods, status, header. That's all. Whatever we discussed, that was just for theoretical part. Yes, it was the most awaited part. So let's start that. So first we will create a server in Node.js, right? Because we are learning the Node.js, so that's why we will start with Node.js. Okay. So see, so let me before so now see, in our scenario, our client will be our browser from where we will make the request, correct? And now we have to create a server. Right now we are not following the REST principle, if you see, because in my same machine we have client, we will create the server in same machine. But REST principle says client and server should be in separate machines. But we are not going to follow that because we do not have two different servers to two different machines. Correct. Now we are going to do the our client would be our browser from where we will make the request, and then our server will be which we are going to create. And now we are going to create server with the Node.js. In Node.js we will create, and Node.js provides us same name as HTTP. Like HTTP protocol is there with the same name. We have one module in Node.js, and that module name is HTTP. And I will show you how can we create it. Yes, we are going to create a local server here. So I hope you guys are able to see my screen. I have already created files. If but I will create a new file for you guys. I will just keep it here. If I try to need some things from there, so I will just take it from there. So let's create a new file here. Okay. Let's remove this file. Okay, yeah. So let's create a new file here, and I will keep that file as a create server.js. That's the first file where we are going to create very simple server. Correct? Very simple server will be that, and that server will simply once we will make first get request, it will simply return one text to us. Okay, let's see. So first, what we need to do, I already told you the require part. Whenever we want to require any modules, what we do simply const living as a const server request HTTP. Because why we are not installing HTTP? Because this is the local module, core module, which Node.js already provides you. So you do not need to install anything, or you do not need to create. So Node.js already provides you HTTP, right? We will write it HTTP server, which will make more sense, right? Because we are reading HTTP server. Correct. Now HTTP server exposes one method to you, and that method is create server. Correct. That method is create server, and create server always have one listener. Okay. So let's create the listener, and that listener will be our method, because this server has to listen. Why a server has listener? Because this listener is going to listen all the requests which client is sending us. So that's why I told you, right? What is the purpose of server? It listen the request, and then it do the task. And then it respond back. So that's why always listener has two things. One is request, where the request which is coming to us, and then the response which he is going to send it. Okay, guys, always listener has two things: request and response. Request, which is coming from the client side, and the response, which the server will send us. Okay. Now we need one more port to run this server in our machine. What we'll do? HTTP server. No. I think that comes in this part. We need to take it in one variable. Const server equal to HTTP server dot create server. Now it will provide us. Now we can do the server.listen. This is the port in which our server is running in my machine. We can give 8000. This is the port which we will use it for accessing. And we can simply pass this callback, which will tell us that server is running or not. We can simply say console.log. Hey, I'm running on this URL, right? And then we can simply say HTTP, because in our local, so localhost colon 8000. That's what we need to do in this URL. I told you, right? Every website has one URL, and with this URL we will access our server. Correct. And the same URL is like the amazon.com. That's the same we are using here, HTTP localhost 8000, because we haven't taken any DNS name, right? We do not have any DNS name, so that's why we are accessing it with this. Now guys, let's write something in the request also. Correct. So I told you server will also send the header. So let's try to write first header and status. Server sends you three things: body, status, and header. So let's write the header first. So response dot, we have method like write head also. Write head. Write head is there, which accept first as a code. So I told you 200 for the success one, and then header is an object. So now we can say here content type. Content type could be like text / plain. These are content type, very very common one. Or we can add, I told you, our custom also. Hello, Arpit. That's what, right? This is there we had added the status and the some headers. Now we will end this response with some body. So response dot end. That's how we write it in the HTTP server. Correct. So response dot end. Let's create one body message, like simply body. Hey guys, how are you? Hey guys, I am up and running. Simply whatever you want to say, and then we will pass this body. Let me show you guys. If I have not made any syntax error here, it should work. Correct. So let me show you first. Then we will see. Then we will talk about this code. Okay. So let me run it. So simply, what I need to run? Node create server.js. That's what we need to run. And we see some error is there. So request is not. Oh, sorry. Request is not there. The right word is require. Sorry, I missed that. I'm very sorry. Let me run it. So that's what, if there is no syntax here, then we should be good. Yeah. So now we can see, hey, I am running on this URL. Correct. So that now our server is listening on this port. So now let's go to the browser. Let's see in this part. HTTP colon localhost colon 8000. That was right. let's open the inspect also. And by default, when we are not passing any path, it always go to slash. The slash will be, let's open the network also. So let's hit it. So now there is some error. So let's see what is the error. Okay. Oh, localhost spelling is wrong. Sorry guys, let's correct the spelling. Localhost as 8000. Okay, yeah, you can see. Hey guys, I'm up and running. That's what our server is returning right now. That's what our server is returning now. Now let's see the localhost call as well. You can see this is the get method by default. By default, whenever we are doing any call from here, I told you, right, it adds a slash. If we're not providing any path, always whenever we are making any request from the browser, it always get. So you can see get the response which we are returning 200. You can see the response header, hello Arpit, content type, text plain. These are some additional information which we are passing, correct? Then these are the request headers which client like browser is passing to us, correct? These are the headers. Then you can see the response, hey guys, I'm up and running. So that's how these are the things which we generally do from our server. That's what I want to show you guys. Let me see if you guys have any question till now. Sir, should not be required on line number B. Yes, Ekta, that's right. It should be required. I corrected it. Nitesh is saying Jason. Sure, Jason. Sure, Nitesh. We will see after this. Right now, I'm sending the text. So, guys, we can send text. We can send HTML from the server. We can send JSON data. We can send the CSV data also, like the file. I will show you everything. I have the examples for everything. So we'll see one by one. Do we need to install HTML? Yes, we do not need to install. These modules are core modules of Node.js. Once you install the Node.js, automatically these things come. Sir, we are hard coding here the status as 200. So it will simply return the same response every time. Correct? Yes. Correct. We will return every time 200. We can like in the error scenarios, we will return is 400. Somewhere we will return the 500 also. But I was showing you how can we change it. This is the way. How can we write our own status, right? That's what we did. That's what we did. Sir, once again, please. Yes, sure. So see, guys, what I did, I didn't do any magic. So what I did, I need to create one server on Node.js, correct? So Node.js all provides us HTTP modules to do that same things. So what I did, I imported the HTTP modules, taken it in a variables. Then this module provides you one method that's called create server. And in this, I just simply use the create server. Now I told you, once we create server, the task of server is to listen requests from the client and then respond back. So that's why I created one listener function, correct? This was the listener function, which was accepting two things, request and response. So right now I am not bothered about the request. We will look later on the request. Right now I'm simply bothered about the response. What response our server is going to do. So now I showed you, if you want to customize our status code, we can put any value here, and we should always try to put whatever the HTTP has provided status to us. These are some headers, like we can provide it, or we can provide our customized values as well. So I was showing you how can you do customization here. Then simply at the end, we were just simply ending it. We are saying this is the body which we need to send it. Okay, guys. So that's what I did here. So if you will hit any time, you will see the same result again and again. See, multiple times, same result, same result. Multiple times, if you will every time see, get, because our server is not responding anything else. Let me see. Let me add any path here, random path. Let's see what happened. Slash path. It will return the same thing, because we haven't created any path till now. Like that from slash path, you need to go anywhere, or like if I put a user, it will go into same. We haven't decided anything. By default, for every request, we are simply returning the same response. Correct? Correct, guys. So now let's talk about some other data type which we can return from here. I showed you right now I'm returning the text slash plain text. Now let's try to return the JSON from here. Okay, guys. So for that, what we need to do, we need to change the content type, because HTTP has told us when we're returning the JSON, we need to write application slash JSON. That's what we need to write. Application slash JSON. Then let's create the JSON value here. We'll do like hey or simply name. Let's take a better example. Not every time hey. Name, Arpit, and let's take age here as another value. We say 24, and then we can simply respond.end and body. Let's see. Let's see if we do not have any error. Let's try to run it. Yeah, we can see now we are sending the JSON result. You can see in the user. Now our content type has changed to application/JSON. That's the format we need to follow. You can see the JSON data now. Correct, guys? That's what we are returning it. Are we good with that, guys? Sir, can we take any port? Yes, we can take any port, and that port should be available in your machine. We can take 400 because some of the applications are already running in your machine, right? So those applications should not be having those ports, correct? And also you open the headers tab in browser. Yes. How we open versus VS2 network page? Open VS2 network page. Wait. Let me go some above questions. I think I missed some of the questions. 2 minutes to install STP module. That's what I already told you. Are we head coding? Okay, understood. Is there any specific reason why it is called respond.end and not respond.send? See, respond.send is not any method in the HTTP modules. I think you are talking about the Express.js where we use the response.send. So we'll talk about the Express later. Then the Express provide you the send method. HTTP doesn't provide you the send method. Okay, guys. Line 17 repeat. Okay, Riaz. Let me repeat the line 17. Okay. So now what we are doing, if we want to run any server in our machine, we need to open some port, because only if we talk about the network, in the network what happened, always network connect to your machine through IP and port. If you talk, see, this is a network thing we're talking about here. And if you just simply want to understand in a very common language, so every server need one port to run in your machine, even in your machine or in the remote machine, everywhere it needs one port, and that port should be open. That port should not be occupied with other things. Now why we need? Because every network call, when it happens, like when there are multiple machines in a network, so network like the routers, your routers find your machine with the IP, correct? In your IP, in your machine there are multiple ports. Now from which port you need to send this particular data, because in your machine there are multiple things are running, right? In your machine there are multiple things are running, or multiple things are making the network call. So now which network call has made this request? That's why we need to provide the port. That's why you can see while making a call, I was writing localhost colon 8000. That this request should go to localhost and to particular port number 8000. So that's why we are exposing it. That's why we are exposing a port. So that's why you guys need to simply remember, whenever any server is running, it has to always it always has one port to run. It will always run in one port. It's a network thing. The reason behind that the network only find your particular request or response with only through the ports. Okay. Can we take any ports? I already answered. Yes, we can. And also how you open the headers tab in browser. So I opened it through the inspect. So let's see. I just opened it here. Like I went to the inspect element simply. Then I went into the network. Then I clicked on the API call. Then automatically these things are coming. Headers, requests. You can see here response header and request header. And everyone should be doing these things, because now we will continuously looking on these things many times. Okay. Okay. How we switch VS Code page to network tab? I think why we need to do that? How to create API or post? We will do that, guys. Calm down, calm down. We will go one by one. Okay. Okay. So now I was trying to say you. Now we have uploaded the JSON data. Let's try to send the HTML also. Let's see. We will try to send the HTML also. Let's see. Uh, take the body only, and rather than this, let's try to give it capital H1. Let's try to give it hello. I am HTML data. Let's return it, and I think we need text slash HTML or application slash. Let me check, guys. I think we need to change the content type also. Well, let me check. I have already had that example also. Do I have? Okay, yeah, text slash HTML. Yeah, I tried it already. Let me put it text slash HTML. Guys, always we need to pass the content type. That's the best practice, and that's how your browser understand whatever the values you are going to send it. Let's try to run it. Yeah, hello, I am HTML. See, now your response header has content type as a text slash HTML. In response, you can see hello, I am HTML. You can see H1 is coming directly. The whole response is coming. Then your browser has converted this HTML into this value. Hello, I am HTML. Okay. Now we have seen the three types. There is one more type like CSV, where we can send the CSV data also. So for that, I think that's a little bit like bigger content. So I will copy it from here. Okay, so I think you will learn about this also. So this is the one way you can set the headers, or there is another way also, which is this response.setHeader. Response also provide one more method to directly setting the headers, where you need to provide the value and a key and value. The similar thing, you can do things from here also, or from the directly you can use the set header method also. Okay, so now what we are doing, we are for passing the file data or CSV data, we need to provide two things here. One is the response.setHeader as a text-less CSV. For plain, I was using text-less plain. I think I should not be like removing these things, because let me add these things. So next time, I think if you guys are like, this will be for you also, right? You will also remember, like this is for JSON, right? And then we have for text. There was text slash plain, right? What was that? Yeah, text slash plain. When we want to pass the plain data, so that will, then you have to use content type as a text slash plain. Then we have the application slash JSON. Then we have the text slash HTML. Correct. Now we are going to use the text slash CSV, and then you also need to provide this one more header, content slash disposition, which your browser needs. And then this is the details of CSV. Now we will change the values here also, and that structure I will also copy it from here. That structure looks like this. These are very common structure, guys. You will find it everywhere. I just want to show you all these things you can do from the server. That's all. For the CSV thing, you need to add these two things from your server, and then the value you need to pass in this way. Like this will be the columns, like the heading in the CSV, and these will be value. Let me show you how this looks like. Then we will see. Then we will see the code also. Let's hit it. Now you can see one CSV has been downloaded. Let's open it. Yeah, the name is there, roll number is there, school is there. Correct, and that's the value. That's how you can create the CSV files as well. Okay, let me come back to the browser, and let me show you the headers part. You can see the header is attachment, files, details or CSV, and content type is text or CSV. Correct. Okay, let me see if you guys have any question. Okay, sir. So is it necessary to give these parameters like content? Yes, yes, because your browser needs to understand what data you are passing to it. Then it looks for content type as a response. So that's why you need to pass these headers. If you are already passing JSON, then I think that's fine. You do not need to do like you do not need to provide the content types. JSON data automatically it will understand. But different type of data like HTML or like the CSV or text, it's better to provide the data. It's mandatory part. Okay, sure. Let's see the CSV. Once again, CSV files. Don't know about the CSV. So CSV is simple Excel file, right? You guys know about the Excel file, right? In Excel file, we have the headers and the data, right? That's the CSV part only. And that's what I was trying to do. These were my headers, name, roll number, is school, and we can add multiple data here. We just need to add /n, and then we can add like same data, Arpit space, roll number is like would be Arpit Purwari could be the full name, and roll number could be 43, and school could be KP, right? That's how they are working, right? So this is the the Excel. In Excel, we keep the headers, then we keep the data. That's what I was trying to do. And these are some properties which you need to set as a header, like additional information which server is telling to browser or to client. That right now I'm sending a CSV data, so be ready for whatever you need to do with the CSV data. So that's what these type of things we need to set it properly. Okay, guys. No. This comma separated values. Don't know about CSV. So are we good with CSV first? Have you understood the Excel value? Excel is same as CSV. Comma separated values. Yes, comma separated values. That's right. Also, is it mandatory to respond dot end body? Otherwise, server will not. Yes, we need to end the data. That's the structure we need to follow. Respond dot end. Break. Yeah, we'll take break in some minutes. Just let me explain one more thing to you guys. Then we will go for break. So, server will run, may not send a response body. Yes, server will run, but so your purpose of server is to send some data back to client. So we need to end it. We need to tell the response now. You need to end it here, because see, a lot of things we are doing in the response, right? We are setting headers. We are doing a lot of things. So at the end, we are saying now response is ending here. That's the thing we need to do. Aradhya saying this seems so complicated. No, Aradhya, we have started with HTTP. There are a lot of things which already Node.js community has created, which has made these things very easy. So that's what we will discuss after break about the Express.js, where you do not need to do all these things. Automatically, all these things will happen for you. A lot of things Express will automatically make developers' life easy. So that's what we will discuss after some break. But before that, I want to show you one more thing about the routing part, about the path part. Okay. Then we will take one break. Sir, this seems some complicated. I didn't understand what you were trying to write here. Understand from start create server again. Okay, so you want me to go over the code again? Let me go in. Complicated. But this seems some complicated. Need to understand from start create server. Okay, sure. So guys, I think you guys are making thinking complication here on the set header parts and all these things. But otherwise, if you skip this part only, which I told, right, because you are not going to share like every time files, you are going to simply share JSON data most of the time, correct? So we are going to work with the JSON. So that's only one time you need to set the content. Then every time you just need to play with the body part, whatever data you need to share, correct? Okay, so let me start explaining it again. So this was right now we are doing in Node.js. So Node.js provides us the core modules as HTTP, okay? Because we are going to create the server and we have to follow the HTTP protocols. So that's why Node.js has already provided a module named as HTTP. Okay, so HTTP has provided one method which called create server. So while we are creating server, we know that the server follows two responsibilities. One, it has to accept the request or listen the request, then it has to respond back. Correct. So that's why in the listener function we have two parameters here: request and response. Whatever the request will come, we will be seeing everything. Whatever request is sending to us in the request variable, or whatever server is going to send, we are going to send it with the help of response. So you can see we have started with okay, I have deleted something. Okay, no need to delete. Yeah. So so first we are trying to set some headers here for our response. Then I showed you the multiple ways how can here I'm just simply showing you the multiple ways to what do we say to customize your things, like multiple ways to like set values of headers or multiple ways to set the status values, correct? Otherwise by default 200 will can also come from here, or we can set 400, we can set 500, correct? And guys, do not think that you need to remember everything here. These all things will be available on the Node.js websites. You just need to remember how the things written, right? When I started the session, I already told you, you do not need to remember the syntaxes here or anything. You just need to remember how things are done. You do not need to remember these values, right? That the text here slash CSV is there, or you need to pass these things everywhere available on the internet, or if you will go for the set header file. You just need to understand, okay, somebody has said to you that we want to pass the CSV value. So then in automatically in your mind has to come that our content type is now going to change. Correct? Now for changing the content type, what we need to use? We need to use the set header because we want to set some header. Somebody is saying you need to set some custom header. Now automatically in your mind it should come that for setting the custom header, we need to use the response.setHeader method. Somebody is saying we need some other status here rather than default status. Then automatically in your mind it should come that response.writeHead already provide you way to write the status. These things comes into your mind. Not you do not need to remember anything here on the syntax wise. You just need to remember if somebody is saying this thing, what you need to use. That's all, guys. And these things will come slowly, slowly. And let me tell you one more thing. We are not going to do these things again. Like when we are going to create any applications, we are not going to use these core libraries. We are going to use some like wrapper libraries, which has made our life little bit easier. Do not need to write http.create server or request response. Like request response is fine because we need to do some more of the things. But when we will talk about the Express library, it will make our life little bit more easier. Okay. Let me see if you guys have any other question. So need to understand what are the template we must use to create server and what are things we can change according to our requirement. Sure, we will discuss about that later. Yeah. We should create a content type global, so every income should be parsed accordingly. Yes. Okay, sure. We will try to do that also. Line number 10. Okay, Joseph is saying line number 10. Okay, yeah. So this is the line number 10 where we are using the write head method of response. Where in the write head method, we can pass the status, we can pass the headers as well. That's what the write head method provides us. This is the write head method which provide you two facilities. One where you can set the status, second facility where we can put our objects directly. Okay, Joseph? So, sir, what exactly write head is? Write head is where we are writing the things about the headers, right? You can see these are the things which we go into the response headers, and we can also set the status. So that's the purpose of write headers. Write headers. We pass headers there. Yes, these are the headers which we are passing here. I showed you, right? These are the headers for coming directly there also in the response. So these are the ways we can pass header. There are two ways to pass headers. We can simply set header or we can use the write head method. Okay, so when we can, then we can also give an error headers in case of error. Yes, if you want to provide something in headers also, so we can like once you get the error, you can simply set the headers for error as well. You need to see setting header is very easy, right? You need to set the key and value. Whatever you want to set, you can set it. I showed you, right? Hello Arpit. So that's what. Okay, sure, guys. I think yeah, we can take the break now, and then we can come back after 15 minutes. Okay. Right now it's 9:35, so we can come back at 9:50. Okay, guys. Let me start a timer. 15-minute timer. Hey, it is not giving me that timer. Set. Okay, guys. I'm starting it. Okay, so we will talk after break. Still we have 4 minutes. I am back. If anybody has any question in meanwhile, they can ask in these 4 minutes. Yes, Joseph. We created our local server in our machine for testing the Node.js part. We created local server. We are just serving the request which are coming from the browser. Browser is our client here. Did we need to on live server? No. In VS Code, not needed. Live server for right now. You can create live server also, but why would you need it? What's the meaning of live server? If server is active, it means it's live. If server is taking your request, it means it's live. So that's what we had. Our server is live, it is taking request. It means it's live server. Client is browser. Yes, client is browser. Joseph. How we can open Chrome page network? Chrome page. Okay, you need to click on. Let me show you. So this is our website, and we want to open the network here. So first, simply you need to click right side of your mouse. You will see the inspect. Click on that. Here, once this pop-up will come in front of you, you will see elements, console, recorder, performance, sources, network. This is the network. There you can see all the APIs, which where the call are happening. So this is how you see the network. Okay. Okay, somebody was raising hands. Let's listen him as well. Nayan is saying, okay. Yeah, Nayan. Yeah, Nayan, please check.
Hello, I'm audible.
Nayan, can't hear you. Can you speak up a little bit?
Am I audible?
Yes, Nayan. Please check.
सर हमारा हमने जो लोकल सर्वर बनाया है VS कोड पे, तो उसका पेज हम क्रोम में कैसे ओपन करेंगे? हमें कैसे पता चलेगा?
Can't hear you, Nayan. Can't hear you. इतना सुना मैंने कि जो हमने लोकल पे सर्वर बनाया है उसके बाद नहीं सुना दिया.
ओके, तो हमने जो लोकल सर्वर बनाया है तो सर वो क्रोम में कैसे हमें पता चलेगा कि हमारे पेज से कनेक्ट है?
एक बार रिपीट करना, कैसे पता चलेगा?
हमारे क्रोम पेज से कनेक्टेड है नेटवर्क वाला वो टैब ओपन करते हैं ना सर.
जी जी.
हाँ, तो वो कैसे पता चला सर? वो
मतलब क्रोम को कैसे पता चल रहा है कि हमारे सर्वर कनेक्टेड है? हमने हमने ऊपर यूआरएल डाला है ना, लोकल होस्ट 8000 स्लैश, उससे क्रोम को पता चलता है हमने इस सर्वर के लिए रिक्वेस्ट की है. वो सर्वर कहाँ रन हो रहा है? हमारे लोकल में ही रन हो रहा है.
तो वो पेज डायरेक्टली कैसे ओपन होगा वो पूछ रहा था सर.
जो जब जैसे हमने लोकल होस्ट कॉलन 8000 डाला, क्रोम ने क्या किया, उसने लोकल होस्ट समझ गया कि लोकल होस्ट इसका मतलब हमारे मशीन में कुछ चल रहा है, उसने फिर देखा 8000, तो ब्राउजर ने हमारे मशीन के 8000 पोर्ट्स पे जाकर देखा, वहां रिक्वेस्ट भेजी।
सर एक बार हम कर दिखाइए कोड का वीएस कोड से ये क्रोम का पेज ओपन करके दिखाइए।
VS कोड और क्रोम को तुम रिलेट क्यों कर रहे हो, समझा नहीं मैं। VS कोड तो हमारा एडिटर है, जहाँ पे हम कोड अपना लिख रहे हैं, ठीक है। इसके बाद हमने वहां से अपना सर्वर रन स्टार्ट कर दिया, ठीक है। हमारा सर्वर स्टार्ट हो गया, हमारा सर्वर अब मशीन के 8000 पोर्ट पे रन हो रहा है। अब ब्राउजर वो मशीन के 8000 पोर्ट से कनेक्ट होगा ना, ब्राउजर को VS कोड से क्या लेना देना।
8000 वाला पोर्ट वो टैब कैसे ओपन होगा, सारा कंफ्यूजन।
नहीं, तो वो मशीन के अंदर, वो मशीन इंटरनली काम कर रहा है। देखो क्या हो रहा है, जैसे ही हमने http.create सर्वर का कोड लिखा और फिर हमने server.listen लिखा और फिर हमने क्या किया, उस फाइल को रन कराया node create server.js से, करेक्ट। हमने जैसे ही फाइल को रन कराया, हमारा Node.js ने उस फाइल को पिक किया, उसने उस कोड के फाइल को रन किया, उसने उस कोड के फाइल को रन करके देखा कि हमें 8000 पोर्ट को चेक करना है जाकर के, और 8000 पोर्ट पे हमको अपना पोर्ट सर्वर अपना स्टार्ट कर देना है। तो वो Node.js का कोड जैसे हमने रन किया, जैसे देखो मैं अपनी शेयर करता हूँ स्क्रीन, ये देखो यहाँ पे हमें जैसे हम ये करते हैं node create server.js, तुम देखो ना अभी कंटिन्यूअसली हमारा सर्वर रन ही हो रहा है, अभी ये रिक्वेस्ट बंद नहीं हुई है, करेक्ट।
अच्छा, तो ये डायरेक्ट क्रोम से ओपन हो जाएगा लोकल होस्ट?
क्रोम से नहीं, ये कहीं से भी ओपन हो जाएगा। अब हम चाहे तो क्रोम, हम क्लाइंट कोई भी यूज कर सकते हैं। तुम वो मत समझो क्रोम और इसे मत लो बीच में, तुम लोग क्लाइंट सर्वर, हमने अपना सर्वर अपने मशीन में रन करा लिया, ठीक। हमारा सर्वर हमारे मशीन में अब रन हो रहा है। अब हमारा क्लाइंट क्रोम भी हो सकता है, फायरफॉक्स भी हो सकता है, यहाँ तक कि और टूल आते हैं लाइक पोस्टमैन एक टूल है जिससे हम अपने रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं, लाइक ये वाला टूल मैं बताऊंगा पोस्टमैन के बारे में। ये पोस्टमैन है, यहाँ से हम अपनी रिक्वेस्ट बना सकते हैं। इन रिक्वेस्ट को हमारे सर्वर पे जाना है और ये सर्वर हमारा 8000 पे रन हो रहा है। हमने उसको बताया कि भाई देखो, यहाँ पे हमने बताया ब्राउजर को कि आप, ब्राउजर का क्या काम है, ब्राउजर का काम है सर्वर को लुकअप करो जाके मशीन में कहीं पे भी हो। अगर मैं लोकल होस्ट नहीं डालता तो वो बाहर जाकर के लुकअप करता DNS सर्वर पे, जैसे कि Amazon.com में करता है। Amazon.com करते हैं तो हमारे लोकल होस्ट पे नहीं है ना Amazon.com सर्वर, हमारा Amazon का सर्वर बाहर है, तो वो फिर बाहर जाकर के लुकअप करता है ब्राउजर जो भी हम URL डालते हैं। अभी हमने लोकल होस्ट डाला तो ब्राउजर बाहर नहीं जाएगा, हमारी मशीन में चेक करेगा जाके। हमने फिर पोर्ट डाला 8000, तो उस पोर्ट पे चेक करेगा जाकर के। यही पोस्टमैन करता है। पोस्टमैन में जैसे हमने लोकल होस्ट कॉलन 8000 डाला, पोस्टमैन भी सेम काम करेगा हमारे
सर। ये
मशीन।
क्रोम ओपन करने के बाद डायरेक्ट लोकल होस्ट 8000 डाल के हो जाएगा, है ना?
हाँ, ये देखिए लोकल होस्ट 8000 डाला हमने, ये देखिए यहाँ पे सर्वर रन हो रहा है, हमारी फाइल रन हो गई।
ओके सर, समझ गया, बस वही। थैंक यू सर।
Okay, so now I think we all are back. So you need to type localhost colon, yes, localhost colon 8000, correct sir. We'll be using Nodeman as well. Yeah, we will see later we will use the Nodeman as well. Nodeman is just automatically, whenever you make any changes in your file, automatically restart the server. That's the purpose of Nodeman development tool. Sir, in the start you were saying that server and client should be in different ways. Yes, that's, I was not saying, that was a REST principle says that client and server could be should be in a different machine, but we are not following REST. That's what you can say. We can take any port number. Yes, sir. We can take 4000, we can take 3000, any port number. Okay, sir. So now guys, now let's create multiple APIs. Okay, so till now we were accessing our server with only one API, there was slash, automatically all requests going to that APIs, right? But now what we will do, we will create multiple APIs. Now one will be user API, one could be like address API, one could be like slash book API, and like 3 APIs we will create, or one at the last we will create the default APIs. Okay, what is the range of port number we can take? That depend on your machine. That's totally depend on your machine. What ports you are exposing. If you are in the cloud, you will purchase those ports, only those ports you will expose. In my machine, I need to check this. It's totally depend on my machine. Any port number we can assign. That's what. There is no range. Any port number you can assign to your server. You just need to figure it out that port should be free. And there are some commands in the Google you have to that could provide you the like your port is free or not. So you can provide any port. That's what. It's a very common concept. It's a network calls. Somebody wants to connect to your server, one port should be available. Okay, so let's now we were talking about the routing. See, the the multiple APIs as known as multiple names. They have multiple names. Let me come back to the here also. So they have multiple names, right? We say them APIs, multiple APIs. We also say them routes, correct? Because see, once you are in the server, now there could be multiple APIs, right? Now first there could be user API, then there could be what we can say like user creation API. There could be user creation API. There could be user deletion API. There could be now this is all about user. Now we will say like apart from user, if we take the example of Amazon website, so user will be first APIs. All the and in user also there could be multiple APIs. One could be getting the information of user, creation of users, updation of user, third API, fourth API could be deletion of APIs, right? The deletion of user. Now apart from user, now product can come. Product get all the project APIs, get all the product. That's it, one API. Create product, that could be another API. So in that way, there could be multiple APIs. So now in what I'm going to show you, I will just create the two APIs and one default. Like all the requests will come to that one also. So let me create it. How we will create an HTTP, and I will still use the HTTP only. Okay. Then after that, we will move into the other things. Okay. So let's create another file. When we commit this file, git status git add, and this is day 6, guys. So this is a different branch I've already created. We commit this file, server creation, and I have everything. I think text/html, text/plain text. So you guys can try like play whatever like you want to do here, JSON or text simply. You can play around it. So now this code is pushed. You guys can take. Now let me create another file. It will be route server. Simply just giving the name so you guys can differentiate it. Route server.js. I will just copy some of the lines from here, like the whole code, then we will fix it one by one. Okay. Now this is the simple, the same code I've taken again, and simply remove these things and remove this also. We'll take this the JSON one. Simply remove this also, body part. Now we'll show you. Okay. Now we have the listener. Correct. Now I see this is very simple code right now, right? Like we have initialized the HTTP, we have our listener, we have created the server, and our server is listening in this port. These are the 4 things as a new server I have done. Correct. Now based on my requirement, that's ignore right now, Nitish, the git part. That's right now ignore. I was just checking git st. This is short command I created for myself. So git is st means git status. If you already know about the git, so you will be aware of git status. Okay, so I was showing you. I'm already sharing my screen. Yeah, okay. So that's I'm showing you. This is the smaller thing which you need to do. So somebody was like fearing earlier. No, this is the thing you need to do. Like if you will practice these things, like creating multiple servers, you will be familiar very soon with this. Now we will use the request also, because we need to find out the URL, right? So we can say the request.url, if this is equal to user/user, then do this thing. Then we will return some other data. Else if request.url, like we can say address here /address, then return something. Then at the end we can say if these two, if user is not providing these two URL, return anything. Correct. Now we can simply use the response.end Hey, we can say, hey, I am user API. The same thing we can say for here, hey, I am address API. And then at the end we can say, hey, this API doesn't exist, right? Hey, this API does not exist. Now by default, if you will access without providing user and address, this will be our response. Let's see how that looks like. Now we'll run the different file, this time root server. Right, see, hey, I'm running on this URL. Let's check this thing. Let's open a different tab. And let's open the inspect. We will see then the network, how that looks like. So let's hit it. HTTP colon localhost colon 8000, and we will first hit the user API / user. You can see, hey, I am user API. Want to see the response? You can see response.header, connection is this, keep alive, request.headers, in the response you will see, hey, I am user API. Now hit the address API. Hey, I am address API. Now if I enter any random APIs like 1, 2, 3, hey, this API does not exist. So that's how we create the multiple APIs here. And these APIs like this could be called routes as well. This could be called routes as well, because this is the routes. See, what is the meaning of routes? Route, like if we say that I want to go to Himachal, we will say that these are the multiple routes to go there. Correct? So that's how, if you want to find something, some resources, if you want to request some resources from the server, you have to follow some specific route. So that's route. So those API is also called route. Correct? So when we talk about route, we said there could be multiple routes. So that's why I come from API to route, because from the starting I'm telling you API, API, API. So now I'm saying API is also known as routes. Why I'm telling you routes? Because when we think about routes, there could be multiple routes to reach to destination. So that's why we will be creating multiple routes. So now why I created this routes in front of you? Because right now I have just created two routes here, like two APIs. Let's ignore the routes a little bit. Let's talk about API only. So I've created two APIs right now: /user /address. Correct. But in real life example, this is not the case. In real life example, we will be having lot of routes, not one and two. Lot of routes. I have showed you, right? Whatever we click, that's the one API. So in real examples, we will be having lot of APIs and writing APIs like this way. Like right now, I'm not doing any logic. I told you, right? Server purpose is three things: accept the request, do the logic, and then respond back. Right now in this example, I'm just simply accepting the request and simply responding. I'm not doing the second part, which was logic part, business logic part. Correct? But in the real life or real exam, like real projects, there are not one or two APIs. We create like more than 50 or 60, 50 to more than 50 to 60 APIs. So that's why when we will create the multiple 50 to 60 file, these file like creating this if else conditions, this will be little bit not maintainable, and everything we have to write on one file only, right? Then we will have multiple handler function. Right now, see, there are some examples. Right now for the /user, I told you, right? For the /user, there could be four different APIs. One get API for /user, where we want to get a user information. There could be post API for creating information. There could be put API for the same. There could be delete API. There could be head API just for one URL, one /user. There could be 8, 9 methods, and these all 8, 9 methods will be different APIs. So that's why the we do not like. That's why most of the right now the developers or companies do not create things in the core HTTP modules. So that's why they go with the one module which we had, or like every language does that. Even Java in Java you can Java also provide you HTTP server core modules. You can use the core modules and write things, but People do not do that, right? People go with Spring or any other like the frameworks, like Python has Django. In similar way, Node.js also has some of the frameworks like Express.js, Koa.js, and like in my like I work with 4 5 right now. Right now I'm just not remembering the name, but yeah, these are some of the libraries or framework which we can say which has been written on top of Node.js. So I remember Express.js because Express.js is widely used. A lot of developers are using Express.js for writing web servers on Node.js. Express.js is widely used. So there are some of the like advantages also of Express.js. Let me go to the slide of Express.js. Yeah, this is the routing logic problem which I told you. That the routing there could be multiple routes, which creates problem in HTTP server if we are going to writing logic. So that's what I already showed you. Yeah, so express.js is rescue. Yeah, you can see these are the some advantages which express.js provides. First advantage I already told you, like writing things in HTTP server is very complicated. You need to like maintain a lot of things, or sometimes like maintaining code is not easy with the core modules. You can do everything. I'm not saying you cannot do with HTTP. Express.js is already using internally HTTP module on for making the calls or for creating servers. But for developers, it's little bit complicated to write things like every condition you need to write and a lot of things you need to do with the core language. So that's why Express.js comes into the rescue. It provides a lot of like already built-in features which you can use, which can make developers' life very easy. First thing, first fast and simple server-side development. Right now we were using http.create server and all those things. I will show you in Express. We do not need to do those things. Very easy. I will show you in some minutes. And there are middleware also. Just remember the middleware part. I will talk later. What is the middleware? So Express provide you to implement the middleware also. Middleware also play a very important, a very crucial role while you are creating any applications. So I will this show you also how the middleware works. And middleware is very important actually, guys. The routing, I already told you the the API part, but in Express we say them as a routing. There could be multiple routes, and then you need to write the routing in that way. And routing makes it very easy. Right now I showed you, right, the problem. We need to create in one function only in listener like multiple. We need to first check the URLs, and right now I am not checking the methods there. Later on we have to check the methods also. Like for the slash user, if we have the get and post both, then we need to check like if the request URL is equal to slash user and request dot method is equal to get, then go into this function, then do this. So that's a little very complicated to write things. But here in Express.js, we'll do the routing. And that guys, like nobody will ask you to write thing in HTTP. I haven't write it till now. I'm working on last 5 years. I haven't write anything in the HTTP modules. I'm writing everything with these libraries, Express.js, Koa.js. There is one more I'm just forgetting. It was in my resume. I think it starts with B. Just forgetting the name right now. So these are some libraries which you use. Okay. Templates is also there. Like Express.js provide you some features. That's what I'm saying. These libraries, when they comes into the picture, they provide you some built-in features which you can make, which makes your developer's life easy. Otherwise, you need to write everything. Correct. See why AngularJS and React.js comes into the picture. You can write everything in HTML, right? But still, jQuery comes into the picture, Angular comes into the picture, React comes into the picture. Why? They make developers' life easy. The complicated things which we write into the code, where we need multiple files to write, multiple connections to write, all these libraries automatically does that for you. You just need to do minimum things, and then your server is ready, your routing is ready, everything is ready. So that's why we will also use in this project Express.js. And then the next thing, Express.js is a third-party module. So we need to install it. Express.js does not come with Node.js. Express.js is a third-party module. So we need to install it. On the first day or second day, I told you for installing the third-party modules, we have to use the npm install. And today we will do that. Okay. Let me see in meanwhile if you guys have any question. Sir, whenever I am making changes in my server.js file, it does not reflect changes on refreshing the file. I have to restart the server? Yes. If you are making any changes in server file, you need to restart. Otherwise, you need to install the Nodeman server.js. So there is, okay, let me show you that also, guys. So I think I will install Express and Nodeman together. Then you will see when I'm making any changes in a live file, I do not need to restart a server. But right now, if you are not using any third-party module, you have to restart your server after making a small change, like one line change also. You need to restart your server. Here we created APIs. Yes, that was API. The slash user request.url slash URL, you can say that was the first API we created. Before that, slash was the main API which we were using. And right now we are using fully get methods. By default, all is get methods. Whatever API call we can make from the whatever API call we are making from the browser, it's all get APIs call. Post we cannot make it from the browser. For post we will use the passport, because in post we need to pass the request.body, which we cannot pass from the browser. So that's why we will use the Postman for that. We will create the API as per the requirement. Yes, that's totally right. That's totally right. Whatever requirements of yours, you will create only that much APIs. There is ideally no limit that we can make, and yes, there is no limit. That's what the server purpose is. You can create dozens of, like millions of APIs. Netflix has actually millions of APIs. Once you will create the millions of API, you need an infrastructure to handle those calls. So then that's a different topic. Express.js library framework. Express.js is a library. They say it as a library because when we talk about frameworks, it provides a lot of other things. But Express.js says that it's a library. It provides some of the things only. You need to add like logging things and all, like logging, authentication. For those, you need to install package. There is a difference between library and framework, guys. When we say it's a framework provides everything to you. You do not need to go any outside, you do not need to install any outside dependencies like Angular provides everything to you. Routing, like if you guys are aware of Angular provides you routing, testing Jasmine tool it's provide, and all the engines and everything. Like Angular provides everything to you. You do not need to install it. But if you talk about React does not provide routing. You need to install outside other packages like React router. In similar way, Express also. So library means it provides some of the features which are very important for you, but it does not provide everything. But when we say framework, our expectations are that it provides everything. We do not need to install anything. That's why framework has more size to install. It needs more size when we are installing, but libraries are very small size. Okay, Vue maybe, React.js maybe, Video.js. Okay, yeah, these all could be libraries. Are we read about MongoDB? No, actually, I think we are not going to read about MongoDB. We are going to read about MySQL. I am currently using Node1. Oh, great, Nilanjan. Root is API. Yes, root is another name for API. Another name for API. Sound interesting? Okay. Each and every link we click on every website, it's itself an API, right? Yes. That's right, Niranjan. React also library. Yes. React also library. Express.js also library. Yes. Let me check very quickly. I remember when I read last time, Express.js was library. No, guys. No, guys. They are saying it's a framework. Sorry. Express.js they are selling as a framework. So they are like the latest version of Express.js 5.2. They're saying it's a framework. Let me share my screen quickly. But I have used like a lot of external things with Express.js. You can see Express.js is a fast, unopinionated, minimalistic web framework for Node.js. So sorry, I was just telling it is a library, but it seems like it's a framework. Now it has come into the frameworks. See, you can see many popular frameworks are based on Express also, which are written on the Express only. Like these are some of the framework which are written on top of Express also. So yeah, you can read more about it. We will simply start using it. You can see the command. How can we install this? We need to run this command. Okay, guys, let's run it. So let me first commit this root also. You guys can see this file. So git status, git add, git commit. Let's put some message. Route server file. Okay, push. So now we have pushed the changes. Now you guys can see it. Correct. So let's create a new file. Not here. We have to create here. Or we can work in the app.js only. Okay. So first, what we need to do first. Now let's follow the structure. How to link this Git to BS. Actually, once you will install the Git in your system, it will automatically install. I'm not sure about Deep. I think you guys have to request that with the the relevant team. I will also inform them, and then we can have one class on Git. Okay, and we can talk about, like, it could be, I think, 1 hour class or less than that. I think, yeah, 1 hour will be enough to first I will install the Git, then I will show you some of the commands which are very important. You can see that I'm using 3-4 commands every time. Status, commit, push. These are some of the commands. I will show you some other commands, and then I think you guys can practice at that time only, and then I think we can go further from there. Sure. Okay. Sunday, I think we have some doubt class. They were saying, right, about the topic, not the new topic, about the existing topic. Okay, so let's see. We will talk with the instructor, like the management facility team. Let's see. You guys also tell about that, so we will see. Okay, so now I have told you on the day one that now when we are going to start a project, we need to start with npm init, right? So let's start a npm init. Once we will do the npm init, it will ask about the project name and everything, package version, description, like sample app, you can say sample express app, more specific. Entry pointed app.js, okay, great. Any test command, no. Git repo, fine. No keywords, okay. You want author name, that's fine. Okay, yes, yeah, looks good, great. You can see as I did that, packet.json has been come into our repo. Correct? That's we have already seen it. This is a project name. Let's remove the PayPal core because that was specific to PayPal. So let's keep it backend core 6, and that's all the information. Okay. Now we will install the Express here. npm install Express minus save. Let me paste this command in front of you, or might be keep it in front of app.js, or yeah, readme. I'm just adding this command in readme so you guys can see it. Install Express.js. Init your project. Init or initialize your project. Initialize your project. I will just give you these commands so you guys will not be lost, right? So these are the two commands, and you can see in the packet.json under the dependencies, we will be having the express. You can see, I think it has given auth also. I'm not sure how that auth comes, but wait, let me first connect to the my VPN, because we are not able to install that. Let me first connect to my VPN very quickly. One minute, guys. Just connecting to my VPN. Then the installation will properly work. Because without VPN, it just fails. Let's first clear the dependencies part again. Let's install the Express again. Let's delete the node module also. And let's see, delete the packet log JSON as well. Because I told you this packet.json only comes when we have. Now install the npm again. Npm install Express minus save. Let's see. This time also all this coming or not. So you can see earlier error was also coming because the host is inaccessible. Are you offline? That was earlier error was coming. Let me see you guys are able to see my screen or not. Ah, yeah, it's possible. I might be installed auth earlier. That's why it's coming. No, sir. How to express if express JSON installed? How to express? How to check? You're saying. So you have to check that in the packet.json. Yeah, you can see dependencies express is coming here. Correct. Earlier, it might be taking from some other files, so that's why it was happening. So now how the express is coming, and then we can see packet.log JSON also created for just for express, whatever the internal dependencies express have, and then node modules also comes with all the default dependencies which express needed. Correct. Okay, now we will go into the app.js, the main file where we are going to write the things. Correct. So now you will see. So first we have to simply do the import here cons express require same way as we were doing the for HTTP. We have to same do for the express till now, and then we just need to do this const app is equal to express, correct, and then app dot listen. And then we have to provide the same port. The port part is still same 8000. We can provide the callback here. Port part is still same in express also. Console.log server is running on this URL, and we can say the URL name here HTTP colon localhost 8000. The similar thing, correct? Now you can see just this much thing you need to do, and your server is not run. Your server is your server can now run. Correct. Now your server can run. Now for getting a small request like for get, so now we can create the routes here. App.get slash, because slash is the one, and then it also provides the same listener, same way. Function. Now we are directly working on routes byte. No need to create listener or nothing like that. You can see this is a slash, and then this function will accept two things, request and response. I'm just writing in very small way, and then you can simply response dot send. Now we can simply send here one JSON as well, like the name, Arpit, then the age would be here, right? And this is now your server is running now. That's what you need to do. This is the route URL, the one which we are saying API. We can create now multiple like this app.get like this. Now we can create app./user. We can change their name user, correct. We can create multiple. So this is how that now we can see how it is very easy for you. Now you can move these to some other files also and import it here. Let me first show you this is running or not. Node app.js. You can see some error is coming for express. We have given the wrong name for express. Let me run it again. Okay, server is running. Let's check it out there. So first we'll check for the slash, the first one. You can see name Arpit, age 24. You can see the data. Very easy. You can see the response header automatically has taken content type, automatically has taken content length, and now this server is running by Express. Everything you are getting here. Same response as well. And now you have to most of the time use response.send. No need to respond.end or anything like that. It has made very easy for you because now response is coming. You need to respond send response.send. In this response, you can send anything now. So that's what I want to show you guys, that how it easy, like earlier we were using the HTTP modules. It was very complicated to write things there, but with Express it makes very easy lot of the things. Okay. Sir, how to take input by user? So once we will work on the post APIs, so we will work on the how to take input. Okay. So now we eliminate if else through Express. We eliminate if else through Express. No, just not the if else. We eliminate a lot of things. We remove a lot of things. Like right now, you can see you have your own routes right now. App.get, and Earlier, we were maintaining everything in one function only. There was listener function, right? And it does. And now you can see, if I show you, see, if I'm already sharing my screen, now you are representing two things here: directly methods and routes. You are now you can create, app.post directly for user without any conflict. App.post for the same URL. App.delete, app.put for same URL. App.post, app.put, app.delete. Correct? You can do this for same URL. But if you want to do the same thing here in the route server.js, you know how will you do that? First, you need to check the method here. And request dot method, correct? Method is equal to get, then go into, then do this thing, then again one more if else condition. So this is just one example how complicated that could be. And with the express.js, that's best. That's why we are using express.js from very long back. Do you still work on Node and Express? Yes, I still work on Node and Express. I am right now working with Koa.js, but yes, I started working with Express.js, and I think till last year, I think no, before this project also I was working with Express. Right now I'm working in Koa.js, but I joined this project I think 1 month ago, but before that I was also working Express.js till now. Okay, so now guys, let's see our slides, and I think now the next topic is for us, which is the understanding the routes part little bit more. So yes, I think we have seen this part. This is the same thing, listening is happening. They are trying to explain the logic. That's what we have already did. Getting routes parameter. Yes. So now we will get into the routes parameter. So now you need to understand the next concept, which is going to be about the routing, or also about the, again we are talking about the get methods only. Okay. So can you help setting our Express and Git on our systems? So right now, why you guys are concerned about the Git? Ah, okay, you cannot clone it. I see. But you can simply copy paste, right? You can go into the Git and you can copy paste my code, right? Right, Nishant? Yeah, you can copy paste from there and simply run it in your local environment. Yes, Ankit. In ideally in big projects, we put all the routes in different. I will show you one projects. One of mine, like at the end of class, there you can see that the routes folder are separate. Everything in the app.js, we will just simply app.listen. We'll do app.listen. All the importing we will do, and then the routes will be on the separate folder. That we will do when we have multiple routes, not for 1-2 routes, right? Okay, now let's understand one more concept of routes. Okay, so let's understand that with example. Now you can see we want to fetch. Still, we are talking about the get API. That's why I'm not right now. I haven't talked about the post or put delete anything which is coming from the request side. Still, I'm talking about whatever server is sending from here. Okay, so let's talk about client is requesting for one user. Correct. So because in database there could be multiple users, right? Right. So we will /user/1. So this is first user. We can give the name as Karthik. Correct. Now, if the like client want another user, what you will do? User/2, and this will be Rohan, right? Similar way, we can do third user. That's how you need to do. Correct. Right now, whatever I told you, if somebody is telling to you, we want multiple users, you need to do these things, right? Correct. We will put multiple routes for users. Are we good with that? That's what we need to do. Are you guys understanding that? No, no. First, yes, we can do dynamic also, but first try to understand. You do not know right now about the dynamic things. You can see this is a problem, right? You can understand this is a problem. If somebody wants to access different users, then what I taught you till now, that is the problem, right? Let me first run this file and let me show you the hitting these routes. So localhost 8000 / user / 1. See, now Karthik is coming. Now I want another user. I will do 2. Now Rohan is coming. Correct? Now I want third user. Now the test user is coming. Correct? But on the see on the client side, you are doing the same thing. You're just changing the value of like after user and then simply hitting the URL. But on the server, you can see how the code is complicated, right? Code continuously increasing. Do you guys agree? If we want to access 100 users, we have to create same way 100 APIs, right? So that's why Express.js has provided one way to us. When we have these type of scenarios where we are going to in the same URL, we are going to change some values. So Express.js has provided us a way to access them with parameters, with parameters. And how we do that? We do that like that. From the client side, there will be no change. But on the server side, we will write this as a colon and user ID. We can give any name here. We can give user ID any name, whatever you want. But when you are writing with colon, then always server will understand it as a parameter. And these parameters are coming from the request side, so we can only access them through request variables. So how we will access these parameters? We will access them first. Let me console dot for you. So request dot params. In this, all the params will come. Correct. So now I can show you. I will just add I will add the dynamic values of params. Karthik underscore dollar request dot wait. Let me not do anything right now. First, let me show you the request dot params. Okay. Then we will add there. So now, once I access request dot tree, I will still get Karthik. But let's see, in the console, I am getting user ID as a 3. Correct? Let's change it to 4. You can see now user ID as they are getting as a 4. In the same API, in one API, now this user ID has become the dynamic. Correct, guys? Now this user ID has become the dynamic part, and we can access these values with request.params. We can pass multiple things in this params. That's on all these things will come as a object. So now how can we access it? We can access it like this: request, or let me take it outside of this. We can take one variable const user ID is equal to request dot params dot user ID. Whatever name I provided, whatever name we have provided, only in that name the value will come from the UI side. Now this user ID we can send back. So we can say this Karthik user ID. We can take another, or we can simply say set it here also, no problem. Dollar and user ID. Now you will see whatever user is coming there, that particular user will come. See Karthik 4. Now we'll see Karthik 23. See Karthik 23. Same API, with the same API. Now we are following the dynamic structure. That's how the request.params help you. That's how you can create the dynamic parameters in Express.js. We can provide multiples. You do not think we can provide only one. We can provide multiple, like colon, like ABC, any random name, ABC, right? And then let's just restart the server. Any like number, no, there is no limit. You can provide anyone, any parameters, any number of parameters. Let's see, user /1/23. You can see in the, yes, you can see in the request.params, both are coming now. User ID, ABC. Now you can access ABC also. So that's the power of request.parameters. When you want something in dynamic, you have to provide in this way. Okay, guys, that's what I want to tell you about the parameters which we can access through the request.params. Okay. Now, have you used any rapid API? What do you mean by rapid API? Is there any application you're saying, like GitHub API, Amazon API? Like they provide the API, so rapid is any Are you talking about the Rapido app, their APIs? Please explain, Ankit, about the Rapid API. Okay, in meanwhile, when Ankit is writing, okay, it's site which provides the already built APIs. Oh, okay. So like some demo APIs, some sample APIs you are saying, correct? Yes, we use it. We use it like that's the purpose of server. They expose the API, you have to use it. Like as somebody was telling that day, right? When I was talking about the Zomato or Google Map example. Yes, the weather API also. Like Zomato, like the Google Map has opened, exposes some APIs. Zomato app uses them. In similar way, Rapid is the one who expose some APIs. People use it in their application if they want some use. Same goes for the weather as well. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about the parameters. So what happened? What happened in this case? Let's remove the ABC from here. Let's take with this. Try to understand with one parameters. Some more things. Yeah, we are getting Karthik one. So now what happened if like somebody is providing with some random values like SSD. Now we can see Karthik one and SD is also coming. Correct? Because you can see this user ID, because we know that user ID should be string only, correct? It should be string. It should be a number. It should not have some random values. So now, how can you restrict that thing? For restricting that thing, Express.js says that you can also add here, rather than adding the user ID, you can also regex. You can directly add the regex as well here. That's what I want to tell you. Like if you do not have any restriction with the anything user can send, then it's fine. You do not need to do anything. You can simply do the caller user ID and whatever values will come from here, they can get it. But if you have any restrictions, like you only need numbers or you need only some specific values, then the Express.js is telling you can also add the regex there. I have one example for regex. Let me show you. I kept it in some other file. Let me take that regex from there. Yeah, this was the regex, I think. Yeah, it has written a little complicated. Let's take this one. Then we will understand. So that is how they have written, which is very badly they have written. Correct. So you can see that's how you write the regex. I think we do not need now this also. I think so. Yeah, that's how you can write your routes URL in regex also. I haven't tried this. I haven't tried in any of my projects because I do the validation on the requested parameters. I simply, what I do. I just found it in recently about this thing. But what I generally do, I check the request parameter here before sending further. I check the request parameter here, like it should be integer or not. I just pass this request. Like in generally, what we do in my projects, what I did till now, that rather than using the regex on the routes, I just generally create one validation method. So once the request.params is coming, I will just use validation method. And if everything request params looks good, then I will do next thing. Otherwise, I will return the error from there. That's what I did. But yeah, now they have already provided some way to write things. I think this is regex part which we are doing here. So here we can see the regex is starting again with /user. Then it's saying it should only accept the number. Let's see if that's the case or not. Let me see. Let me run this code. Now it has become users, so we need to use users rather than user. Let's see. See, we can see cannot get users less one NSD. Let's try with one only. Yeah, you can see now it's still coming as undefined. What is the reason here? Oh, okay. Now it is returning a result. Okay, okay. We haven't given any name, so that's why it is giving a result as a 0. Okay, so let's add some name. Let's read about it a little bit, guys. I have also a little bit new to that, but I thought to share with you regex in uh, app routes in Express. Regex in Express routes. I will create like more example later, but let's see very quickly this thing also. I told you like I generally what I generally do. I generally create one validation method and there I check for the these things. But let's see how we can check here. So I can see they are simply doing that, but I was looking for name. Like we can provide a name there or not? Yeah, I think yeah, like this. You can see dot call and name, and then we can write the regex. Let's see if that works. So let's see if we can provide dot column name here, and no, actually we should take this thing only. Yeah, we should take this thing. Let's add it here and close it here, and then we can take this particular regex only, because this regex is only restricting us to use the number part. So let's take that one. Let's see if that helps you, help us or not. Okay, guys, let's see. Remove all these things, the older regex. Now we are just trying to change it according to our use case, right? Rather than name, we will take the user ID. Let's see if that helps us or not with the regex one. Okay, guys, let's see. Okay, cannot get slash user, so still there is some problem. So user is there. Okay, oh, users is there. Sorry, let's make again the change to user. Okay, so still it is giving us same error with the slash one. So it means it's not able to find it. Correct? Yeah, cannot get. It means it's not able to find it. So I am making some mistake still here. Let's see how they were doing. They were simply doing this. Okay. Do we need square brackets also? Let's see. Let's take the square brackets and keep the value as a 0 to 9. Okay. Let's see this time, guys, if this works or not. Okay. Let me just cross verify again. Yeah, looks good. Rather than slash d, we are going with the numbers part. Right. It should only have 0 to 9. Let's see. Are we good with this or not? Yes. I think we have. Let's see the provide some other values. SSD. Yes, cannot get the user slash SSD. So that's what I was trying to say to you guys, that in routing we can provide some regex as well. So that makes your code, your like code, like now once you will provide these things, now you do not need to do validation. That's the best part. Otherwise, once somebody is passing the request dot parameter, ऐसा लगातार मैं अभी तक ऐसा करता हुआ आया हूँ, बिफोर नोइंग अबाउट द रिजेक्ट पार्ट। मैं क्या करता आया हूँ, मैं जब भी रिक्वेस्ट डॉट पैरामीटर्स आता है, मैं एक मेथड बनाता हूँ जिसमें इफ एल्स की कंडीशंस के साथ उस पैराम्स को चेक करता हूँ जाकर के कि ये वैल्यूज उसमें होनी चाहिए। बट नाउ यू कैन सी द बेटर वे, rather than testing the params later, you can simply provide the regex here, and this regex will automatically check these things. Correct? So that's also I want to show you about the params. That's all about the parents which I want to discuss. Let's see if you guys have any question. Regex थोड़ा describe करें. See, regex is simply, if you guys know about the regex, so it's a regular expression which we generally use for comparing things. Like there is a string, like this is India, and you want to compare like is existing this string or not, or this string has fully numbers or like alphabets, like small a to z, or does this string has any capital letters. So these type of things we can simply check through the regex. And I think regex need like big like different class, because regex can be done by lot of ways are there for to write regex. There could be one more class for 3 hours to just talk about regex, how many ways we can write the regex. And there is a lot of websites which helps you to create your regex expression, regular expression for your search. Sometimes people want to search, give me only 2 curly braces in the front. These type of things we can simply do. Right? In our condition, you can see we only want those strings which have numbers. We do not want any other string. That's what the regex was doing. Request parameter is like an object or array. It's an object, Ekta. Also, does the order or request and request parameter matters? Order or request? Yes, that definitely matters. The like the how are you writing user ID at the second place? Only user ID have to pass at the second place. If you're writing user ID at the third place, like slash user, like let me show you. Like slash user, you can write another parameter also, right? Like there could be a not parameter. This if you are not using colon, this could be simple path, any static value. This is not dynamic, right? If you want to make it dynamic, we need to add colon. So now right now it's static. So now user ID you have to provide every time at the second position. So that's right, you need to follow the order while you are calling this localhost 8000 API. You need to follow the order in the same way as you have written the API. Okay guys, user ID slash 21 will work. Yes, user ID slash 21 will work because 21 is a number and it will work. No sir, I mean in that callback function, that request and response. Yes, request and response. So in request and response, taking value, no, it's an object. Request dot parameter user ID you can take. Request dot parameters dot, it's an object, right? That you can take in any order. I was talking about the calling part. When you are calling, at that time order should be order matters. So users, after users, you have to pass the user ID. Okay, guys. Okay, so let's see. I think that's not in our slides because I think after discussing this thing, they are moving into the middleware. But before middleware, let me show you one more thing very quickly about the parameters only. There is one query search also. Query parameters also we can pass from the get URLs. I will show you that also very quickly. So for that, you do not need to do changes in any of your routing URLs. You do not need to change. You do not need to make any change here. Let's take that another example for that. Let's take another API for that. It could be about, correct? We can take the name of about, like name, correct? And then we can print the requested parents. There it will be name. This could be simply name only. Like if we want to talk about which person, like a name, and we can say, hey, I am, or we can simply pass the username only. You can say this as a username which we are passing. Then we can simply pass this username. Okay? Because I don't want to talk about the parameters right now because we have already discussed about the parameter, right? I want to talk about something else. That's called the query parameters. There you do not need to change anything in the URL, right, guys? Now let me show you how the query parameter you send it. So now if I call the about API, so it will work like this. The default scenario about class Arpit. If I pass, you can see name Arpit age 4 because that's the value which we are passing. If I pass Arpit Purwar, you will see the same thing. Name Arpit Purwar, the same value which we are passing in name because this is the parameter, right? Request parameter. Now we have a way to write query parameter also like this. Like this could be like we can say the company, it could be PayPal, and location would be Bangalore. You know that, right? Sometime when you do the filtering, at that time you provide some of the values. Like if you like if you are in Amazon website and you have searched the mobile, in the side you find some filters, right? The range should be this, correct? Range should be like less than 12,000 or more than 4,000, or your phone should be only Apple or Android. So those are query parameters, and we pass them like this. Like right now I'm searching about Arpit Purwar, who works in PayPal and whose location is Bangalore, correct? So right now if I make, you can see these are the values which are going through the URLs, correct? Now how we will access these values in our server? We have one more, key. That key is called request.query. Request.query, and now we will access the request.query here. Now let me first write the comments properly. So params, it will be params, and it will be query. Correct? That was for params. Now we will talk about the query. Let's start it and let's hit the same URL again. Let's come back. See, the params is coming name, Arpit Purwar, and query is coming company and location. Now you can access these queries same as param and you can use it as a whatever way you want to use the query. So that's what I want to show you, which was not shared in the slide. So that's what I thought you guys should be aware of this thing as well. That's why I thought to let you know about this also. Did you guys understood the query parameters? So query parameters or regular parameters? So it's not like that, Jaslin. Resist is not going to use it's depend on your use case only. Yes, we always write the query parameters and like that question mark, then the like the whatever the query, because query parameter always have two values. What are the query and what are the value you are trying to pass? Correct. So in my case, I was trying to pass location and company. So I provided the location value and company name. In similar way, if you talk about the Amazon product, the query parameter would be like price, the range, price range, and second could be the mobile brand. We will provide the value of that. So that's how the query parameter works. Okay. Yes, question mark ke paas, yes, Jasleen. Request.parameter is a part of request we are looking for. In queries like applying filters along with that request. Yes, we can say that. So see, in the query parameter, you do not need to change anything in the URL part on the server side. When you were using the request.parameters, at that time you were changing your URLs also in the server side. But in the query part, you do not need to change anything on the server side. That's the good thing. But yeah, we use both things. We use the parameters, some scenarios, we use the query parameters also. Okay. Now let's talk about the big thing, which is our Express middleware. Okay. Now, why we need middleware? First, try to understand why we need the middleware, or like in general word, what is the meaning of middleware? In general word, middleware meaning is these are some of the like bridge between things. Correct. These are the things which we want to do before reaching the destination. There is one source, there is one destination. We want to reach destination from our source. But the purpose of middleware, they will create the pull for you. And while walking on this pull, only you will reach the destination. That is the normal meaning of middleware. Yes, it's a mediator. And now why we need in our server the middleware? Because once your request has come from client, now see, let me show you the real flow. Let me add one slide here, which I think already is happening here, but let me add one more slide here. So see, this is your blue pen choose. Yeah, this is your client, correct? Which is making request. So now request here comes. Now this is big your server. You can say this is all of your server. This is our server, correct? The first thing which will handle this request will be your routes, correct? Will be your routes. So now let me create the URLs also. Like this is /user. That is the API which we have called from the client side. Okay. So now first thing, the first box which will come, which will be routes box, correct? So and this route will be /user, and we can say this /user was get. So this will be app.get/user. I already showed. So this is the first place where your request goes, correct? Now from routes, always request goes to middlewares. Always request goes to middleware. Always request goes to middleware. So after middleware, request goes to main logic controller. Request goes to controller where we write the logic. Till now we haven't written anything in the. Till now we haven't written. We are simply getting the request, returning the result. Getting the request, returning the result. Correct. But right now we haven't done anything to the controller. And now controller does all the logic parts, whatever he has to done, and then controller sends back response to routes. And then routes respond back to the client. This is the response. This is the whole flow, guys. You need to remember. This is how your Node.js server is going to work. Okay. Now why? Okay. Now the big question is why we need middleware. Okay. So very easy answer. Once somebody is calling to your API, you want to authenticate that person. You want to know this person who is trying to access this particular route, is it the authenticated request or not? So that's why before sending that request to controller, you will send it to middleware, and in the middleware you will check that this request is authenticated or not. If this request is not authenticated, you will simply reject that error from there, reject that request from there. You will not send that request to controller. That's the purpose of middleware. The purpose of middleware is whatever things you want to do before request reach to controller, you have to do all these things in middleware. Very simple definition. Very simple definition with a practical view. जो भी आपको चीज करनी है कंट्रोलर में पहुंचने से पहले, वो सारी की सारी चीजें आप मिडलवेयर में करिए. Okay, now if I show you the slide, you can see here we are checking multiple things here. CORS, like these are some of the things we discuss, like CSRF. These are some security things which we are doing here. CORS is also security, CSRF is also security, auth is also security, and then we are reaching to our main task. You can see on the error, the red one, on the error we are directly reaching to HTTP response. We are directly returning the response. But on the green, we are going to the next level. That's how the middleware works. No, middleware not just act like a security layer. This could be any layer. This in middleware there can be many layers can come. See, in the real scenario, first authentication layer comes where you check for the authentication token. Second layer comes validation, that your input, whatever value you are sending, those looks good or not. And then the controller of main task comes. I am not robot is middleware. No. In middleware, actually, middleware is just a common terms, just a common terms. Okay, but the meaning of that is before reaching to main task or controller, you can use many middleware. And now, how we write middleware, I will show you very quickly. In Express, I will show you. Yeah, in this example, let's take another API. Let's create another API. App.get. Let's take this API name as a address. Okay. Correct. This is our routes. And now this is right now we are writing the controller logic, because here this is our controller logic. You can see this is the main task, because right now we only have two things. This is our routes, get address, and then this is simply our controller. So let me 1 minute. So simply return the address from here. Address. Oh, sorry. Yeah, address. We can say simply Kanpur. Correct. And if we simply call it, right now we have written only two things, routes and controller. We can say the function that the part of which we are writing in the second thing, that is our controller right now, because the things we are doing with only there. We can simply write address. Spelling mistake. Oh yeah, double D. Correct. Address Kanpur. Right. Now we write middleware in the middle of routes and controller. Here we write the middleware. So let's create one middleware. So I will create one function here. Function. We can say this as a logging middleware. Okay. Logging middleware. And all middlewares has three things: request, response, and next. Because if everything is success, then simply do the simply go to the next part. Correct. It has three things. And now where we put this middleware, we put it between these two. Between our controller, we put the logging middleware. Let me show you now. the request before reaching to there. Then we put the console both places. Console.log in controller. Here I will put in middleware. Correct. Here we can like we want to do logging, right? So we can simply do logging for request.url. Correct. Request.url. We can check many things here. Yeah, here. Correct. And once we do that, we have to call the next. You will see next. Then after calling next, this will go here. Let me show you this. And we can have multiple middleware here. Let me call you now. See, in middleware, first it goes to middleware, then it is going into controller. Correct? Let's reject it from here. Let's see. We can simply put some condition here, like simply or might be simply reject it from here. Let's see what happens. We can say simply res.send. We can say we can simply reject. So we can throw some error from here. How we throw the error? We can set the status first. So this is how we set the custom status. Right now we are trying to set the custom status here. So response.status send we are sending an error. It is an error in middleware. Some error comes in middleware. Right? Let's see how that looks like. I'm just showing you all the scenarios here. But yeah, like in the coding, it happens in different ways. Yeah, you can see it's error in the middleware. And you can see it will not go into in controller. So that's how the middleware works. If you are putting any middleware in the between the controller and your routes, that middleware first will execute, and then in that middleware, whatever your logic you are writing, that will happen. And if everything looks good, then you have to do next. You have to call next. Then it will go into the next one. Otherwise, it will stuck there. Okay, guys, that's the purpose of middleware. Okay, let me see if you guys have any question till now. So middleware acts behind the scene in the backend. Yes, everything is working behind the scenes only in the server. As it is asked for mail ID, as it was asking in GFG, GFG. Now, sorry, can you try to explain, Ankit, what you were trying to say here? Oh yeah, Vishal, that was address spelling. So guys, do you guys see any problem with the middleware? You can see the request also here. Incoming request is coming. First, it will go to the middleware. Then we'll call the next. It will go into the next middleware. Then we are calling next. It will go in next middleware. Then it is going finally to response. And we can directly also send the response. As you are seeing, I was sending the error one. We can directly send the error one directly. We will not send the response.send as a success one, because that's the purpose of, that's the part of controller. कंट्रोलर को मेन रिस्पांस भेजना है. करेक्ट. मिडलवेयर को नहीं भेजना. मिडलवेयर का काम है सिर्फ चीजों को चेक करो. आप अगर कुछ एरर आ रही है तब आप एरर फेंको, अगर नहीं एरर आ रही है आप नेक्स्ट को कॉल करो. Whenever we enter inside, it asks to enter the mail to register. Yes, email ID ये ask करता है. email ID और credentials के थ्रू आप auth layer को पार करते हो, जो कि हमारा middleware ही चेक करता है. ओके, अब मैं समझ गया आप क्या कह रहे थे. करेक्ट. So Ekta is saying, when we are trying to access some courses on Udemy, but first it asks us to log in. Yes, that's the part of middleware only. It's a part of logging middleware. Yes, it's a part of logging. See, when I was talking about the logging, I was talking about the create logs, not about the login. Logging or login is different. Login is you are saying login, which is the authentication layer. But yes, that also come into the middleware only. So first it see every API which is not public will always have one authentication middleware. Because the first API is the sign up API. You do not need any. See, once you go to any website, you see two APIs which are open. You do not need any middleware. One is the main website like Amazon.com, where you get API. The first API that doesn't need any authentication layer. But once on some of the APIs, like once you're doing the Once you are going to purchasing anything in Amazon, you are clicking on the cart, right? At that time, you need to log in. You need to do login. Only then you can do the purchase. So that's why at that time you will be having the authentication layer. Yeah, please sign in to continue. Correct. It's also called authentication. Yes, it's only called authentication. It's not also. It's only called authentication. Authentication and authorization. These are two things. We will discuss about that in our next class, where we will create authentication middleware, authorization middleware. We'll create these middlewares. Please sign in to continue. I think our next topics are some of the coding, which I am thinking to do in our next class. Okay, or yeah, we will do it in next class. Some of the some of the middleware files only, like to show you a little bit more about the middlewares. Okay, so we'll talk like see, I already told you middleware. Before going to controller, always things go to the. So you need to remember this thing. This diagram is very nice. That's how I prepared for myself. I always remember that the first request come to the routes. From the routes, it goes to the middleware, and there could be multiple middlewares. All middlewares request will go, then it will go to the controller. And once all middleware has passed, now the responsibility of controller is to send response back. So you guys also need to remember this flow only. And then tomorrow class we will see some of the examples. How just to understand, just to make this flow true. So we'll do some more practice there. Okay. Sir, in simple terms, if middleware returns some error, it will not run the callback function. Do not, yes, that's the case. It will not run the callback function, but do not understand in that way. It's like, yeah, that's, I think you have understood very nicely, Ekta, that the callback function will not run, but we can say in the technical terms that callback function is a controller where we want to reach at the end, and that controller will not run. So yes, technically that's a callback, and that callback will not run. That's totally true, Ekta. I'm not disagreeing with your view, but I'm just telling to the use of better words so you can understand better things, better way. Yeah. So every middleware have their own task to perform the request. That's totally true. Okay. Every middleware has their own task to perform, and once they perform task and there is no error, they will go to the next middleware. And if all middleware hasn't passed, they will go to the controller. And if any middleware is failing, we will simply fail the request from there, and we will send the response, whatever we want to send the response as error. Guys, thanks, Ekta. I know we have started a little bit at that time about the headers. So at that time it takes a little bit time, but I want to first clear all of your doubts, then start new topic. Then we spend some time on the rest to understand some of the theoretical things there. And after that, we started understanding the HTTP server. And in HTTP server, we get to know that like how can we create server, what are the listener, how can we send different files, correct? And then we move into the Express.js. And Express.js, you will see a code which, let me first commit the code for you guys. I would want you guys to look into this code and do a little bit more practice on Express one, not on the not on the HTTP one. Just try to understand the HTTP one, but do practice on the Node.js, this one, the Express one. Okay. Let me first commit that very quickly. Yeah, I committed under day 6. So try to do that. Try to practice this. Try to read more about it, and then we will connect tomorrow to do some more practice. And then I think we have to understand DBMS a little bit more also, because every server has to do some of the, see in the controller, what we need to connect to database only. So that's why we do those things in controller. So that's why we need to understand a little bit of data storage also. So tomorrow we'll talk about that also. Okay, guys. So have a good night, guys. We'll connect tomorrow. Bye bye, guys.